up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I am one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well.
Good. The pure one, Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host.
None other than the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Go Islanders.
And then a man who needs no introduction.
Go Wings.
one of the best men I've ever met in my entire life, Rob Paulsen.
Thanks. Hello, nurse. Hi, bud. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Paulsen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Paulsen.
Thank you.
The voice of a generation.
Oh, man.
He's launched 1,000 cartoons.
Listen.
You know him from Talking Tunes, the iTunes podcast. Go get it on
you.
iTunes and other podcast servers.
Thank
it's not
you,
exclusive to iTunes.
This is it's a pleasure to be here, and the fact that you guys, we all have the same parole officer, I think is so convenient.
Easiest way to get us all linked
hooked
together.
us all up.
Yeah.
No, this is great. Thanks. A cup of Joe. I got your doggy here.
Yeah.
This is great.
This is
Lovely.
a good life. This
Thanks
is what
for
it's all
having
about.
me,
This
buddy.
is the life of internet superstar meets cartoon superstar.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Has it, Greg, for you, has it gotten to the point where it's kitsch to have people in your spare bedroom yet, or is it still slightly embarrassing?
Kitsch.
No, I mean, like, if you notice, the house is cleaner than usual.
Yeah.
I woke up and ran around at 7 in the morning. I meant to get rid of the prize box for Colin and Greg Live. Forgot about that. So the
This
giant
box that has been moved around so many times that it is no longer a box.
Yeah,
it's more
it's
of a
just
bag.
kind of like a...
It's just a
It's
cardboard,
a cardboard bag.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a cardboard
a
bag.
And I noticed you clearly are doing well. You have a Dyson vacuum.
Oh, we have two. Rob.
Shut up!
Yeah, you want one as a parting gift?
How
Because
much are you
I'm trying to
kidding
get
me?
rid of one.
How much you making this goddamn thing?
Well,
Those are
no.
expensive.
These were bought when we had full-time jobs.
Dyson. Those are expensive.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know why we have two of them actually.
Wow.
It's because a long time ago, Christine moved in with me and
she
fell in
brought
love
home-
with the Dyson. Then we broke up and we're like, we'll never be back together.
Wow.
And then we got back together, and she had already bought another Dyson. So now we got two goddamn Dysons in the
I'll
same
take a
way.
Dyson off your hands if you're trying to get rid of a Dyson.
You gotta give me some money though.
I'll give you some money.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
talk
they-
about this after,
Keep the
after
yellow
the
one. The
show.
other one's way better.
I want no. Well, first off, we shouldn't negotiate. In
I
front of
want
him.
the purple one.
No, the purple one, Steinmer's. That's not going anywhere. It's got the ball, so it can go around corners real easy.
I don't know if you noticed, but I used to be a prize fighter. My name was Mike Dyson.
Rob Paulsen, ladies and gentlemen.
I just cheated up. I just cheated up for you. Of course I respect you. I just want to touch your boobs. I'm sorry. I don't mean it. I'm so sorry. Mike's gonna. Well, never mind.
He's doing cartoons now.
He's doing cartoons. I may run into him. He may
Exactly.
cut my head off.
Whoa, damn.
Gnarly.
What a strange career Mike Tyson has had.
Yeah, right.
He's gone the full spectrum. He's done that thing that like a lot of old talent like should do, which is you sort of you rise, you fall, and then you sort of
Rise
he's had this
again.
weird introspective moment where he's the one-man show and he wrote
Yeah.
a book and he's like
Did you do the show about birds?
Pigeons, yeah, the pigeon show.
Yeah.
he's done some crazy stuff, but I think he's had these amazing moments of like clarity where he's like,
Well-
I am a crazy person, a crazy personality rather, not person,
with
and I
it.
should just run with it.
Well,
Let's just go with it.
he apparently, I mean, I've seen him in interviews in which he is very introspective and very contrite and says, oh my God, I really did some really bad
yeah.
things. I'm taking medication. I'm okay. Then I heard him on an interview, a couple months back with some sports guy who it was, I think in the UK, because he was doing his show.
Tyson, where did
Right, and he said, so has it been difficult for you as you did go to federal prison on a rape charge? And Mike just, fuck you, I'm not going to talk to you about this, just lost it.
Yeah.
Which, again, the guy set him up. I mean, he did, but it was, you could see where he had these moments of rageful
Well, I mean,
guy,
yeah, I mean,
Well, that's
there's
the
only
things
so
you
much.
try to get away from,
Yeah.
I imagine.
It was
When
pretty
you're doing
wow.
cartoons and
Yeah,
pigeon
no
shows.
kidding.
And that was
and you tattoo your face with a tribal logo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
which
was
is
awesome.
that's
I love
crazy.
that. I really loved that. That was the best.
Crazy. Anyway, how we went from Mike.
This is the show. This
Yeah.
is what
Dyson,
we
Dyson.
to Mike
Dyson.
Dyson.
See,
Dyson.
whenever I think of Dyson the vacuum, I think of Terminator 2.
Oh, right.
Miles Dyson!
Yeah.
She's gonna kill Dyson! Remember? Because he was the one who...
The guy was like this.
Yeah. I don't know how much longer I can hold this thing.
I like how you're holding my cold Starbucks cup.
Yeah, God, Terminator 2 is such a... Can we stop the show and go film?
Go watch that.
I watched Terminator 3 the other day for about 5
no,
seconds,
that
and I
was
was
a
like,
bad choice.
this is like a joke compared to its predecessors. 4 was actually okay. Salvation was okay, but what was
No,
Rise of the
Salvation
Machines?
sucked.
It was
Yeah, but it
okay.
wasn't like 3.
But
Yeah,
3
she
was
did
like,
that one, right?
and this is not, and I'm not saying this to be sexist at all, but I just don't think that actress, not
No.
necessarily a female role, but that actress was not imposing.
Was
at
the
all.
right choice.
She was not ominous. She didn't feel threatening in the least.
Well, it was
not that I'm
literally like,
saying you
how,
can't-
hey, let's get a hot Terminator.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get a hot chick.
And I'm like, you could have cast
Yeah,
someone that
McGee.
had that vibe,
Yeah.
that actually could like have that presence on screen, but she just was smoking hot.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Christina Loki, I think that's her name, but when her hand changes 15 times into like an awesome gun, I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous.
Right.
There's no fault to this character. There's no way to get around this. And then
She's
and
perfect, like Miley Cyrus.
Oh god, Miley Cyrus is perfect.
Isn't she? I know.
Have you met Miley Cyrus?
I haven't. I don't think
If
she's old enough to be
if
my
you meet her first
granddaughter.
before me, can you say what's up to her for me?
Really?
Yeah.
You like Miley? She's your
I'm
chick?
not. I don't dislike her.
Yeah.
I like that she's a free spirit.
You'd like to teach her the meaning of the word discipline, wouldn't you?
I mean, are we talking like collar and choker, or like what are we talking here about?
Back to Mike Tyson again. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
if you didn't know,
Oh,
this is
my
the
God.
Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, you can get the show early each and every Friday over on patreon.com/kindafunny, or you can wait till it all goes live for free on YouTube, topic by topic, day by day, until we post the entire show for free on Friday on iTunes and YouTube. A lot of people check their MP3. It's back, Colin. Pregnant
Oh,
pause.
nice.
Yeah, okay.
That's our favorite.
So that was the promo?
Yeah, that's where we just put that in
Excellent.
the middle if anybody didn't know what
Great.
it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we should put it at
They
the
got
beginning,
this
but we
far.
always talk. We just immediately go off on a tangent.
Well, that's how the show. That's how. What
Yeah.
I mean, it's episode 60 something or other. The Game Over
69.
Greggy show.
I
People are
think it's
used to
69.
it.
It's not 69.
Not
It's
69.
No.
No,
No.
there's
That's not
not.
the episode.
But as of yesterday, it's 69 days until Fury 7 comes
Oh
out.
God! Now you've dated this because we're putting this up from
do
a
we,
while ago.
do we
too.
want to go
Right.
into that Twitter feed right now, or should we save that for a later episode?
That's a later. That is. A
There
good
should just
story,
be a Game
though.
Over Greggy show about the Fast and
Actually, you
Furious
know what?
40s. Oh,
I need to
God.
tell the
Here
story.
we go.
Sorry, Greg. I have to tell the
No,
story.
tangents. That's what the
'cause
Game
it
Over
is-
Greggy
it is
show is all
amazing.
about.
So recently, and I spoke about this on the show. Rob, if you didn't know,
Okay.
we're huge fans of the Fast and Furious franchise.
Oh, right, okay.
It's an amazing.
So is my kid. My kid and his girlfriend, fiance, are crazy.
Congratulations.
About that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they just get it. They know it's not about
Oh,
cars.
man.
It's about family,
Yeah,
and it's
they
great.
love it.
So, I just found out that there's this Twitter feed called Days Till Furious 7.
Oh.
And every day they just update a tweet that just has the number and then a GIF, and then that's it.
That's
so
it.
I followed them instantly because I was excited. I'm like, this is great. And every day I've been talking to Nick. I'm like, dude, it's only 72 days. It's only 71 days, whatever. It wasn't until recently I was at IGN visiting, and my friend says, hey, Tim, you know we're playing an elaborate prank on you, right? And I was
Are you
what are
kidding
you
me?
talking about? And they're like, dude, so you fell into this so fast. We made that Twitter account
No
within 10
way.
minutes. You followed us. We were trying to play the long con where once the movie was released, we were going to say shout out to our biggest fan, Tim Gettys, who makes this huge
No
thing.
way.
But,
Kidding?
but the fact that you followed in 10 minutes, like they were like, we thought it was going to
So
take
they
like
just
a month for
they
you to
just
get it.
right away.
Yeah.
Just real. So how many
They got me.
followers do they have on?
They now have like 130 or something like that. The first post actually went like semi-viral
Yeah.
for a random tweet that Darren Brazil
So they,
made. But
they totally got you.
funny.
yeah,
How
they
long-
got me.
How
They got
long
me.
did they have this?
I mean, it's been going for about like a week.
Bless
So,
you.
but it's just I love that.
God bless you for
it
telling
all
people
happened.
that.
No, I know. It just
That's
happened
great.
so fast, but it was great. It was so
Sorry
good.
about that.
Hey, okay.
He's not
Here's
used
my-
to working in with microphones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not.
I'm like-
I'm not used to working. No, I don't.
I'm glad to see this as a success. Because for a quick diatribe on the diatribe, of course, if you notice, I'll show it to you later. My coffee mug, my Dave Fennoy coffee mug,
Yeah, I
says
saw
Greg
that.
Miller on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because at one point I lost it in IGN and it just disappeared, and I thought, oh man, I can't believe somebody took this. It's probably some other department. Da da da. And really, what it was Alexis, because Zombilitas, took the mug, made a Twitter account saying that it was gonna be held for ransom and I needed to find it. Da da da. And I never saw that tweet, and they never tweeted again. So I went and bought another Dave Fennoy coffee mug, and when that one showed up, they were like, "Oh, we screwed up." And
Well,
This
see,
is
the
what
worst
I-
story there is I made that Twitter account.
oh, you suck at
and
everything.
that Twitter account is tied to my Gmail account, and I don't remember the password to the Twitter, and there's no way to recover it because of just how Gmail works.
Yeah.
So I'm consistently getting Dave Fennoy coffee mug Twitter, like, you should follow these people in my email. And
Is that what
there's
it's called, Dave Fennoy coffee mug?
Dave, like, I don't remember.
We are in
what
the
search
end
was called.
times. This is the end of days,
Things are
everybody.
bad.
Wow.
Here's my thing about you guys with these prank Twitters feeds. I don't think you quite understand it, because it would have been funny if they got you hooked on it, but it was the wrong Days to Fast and Furious.
Oh, man.
That's
would've
what
been
I thought
funny,
was going to
is
happen. Yeah.
Is
You
if you
camped
got there
out.
and you're like, boys, it's coming out today, and you were a week off.
Yeah.
And then you look like an asshole because
So
you're
you were
like,
in
it comes
line
out
for
tomorrow, and everyone's like,
Paddington
you're
Bear.
dumb.
Yo, man, that would be great. If it was
What?
counting
This
down
is
to
Paddington. Where's the Fast
They
and
somehow,
Furious?
got you into Paddington.
I don't want
Bear.
to see
You're like,
Paddington.
I don't know. They blindfolded
Asshole.
you.
Oh, man.
Oh, the Paddington Bear is probably going to be pretty cute, maybe.
Well, there's a Paddington Bear in which he crashes a lot of cars, so that's a really good one.
All right.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Is that like the third chapter of Mike Tyson's book? I was really drunk with Paddington Bear. I can't do Mike Tyson.
You do one of the worst Tysons I've ever heard.
I don't do impressions at all.
I just love Paddington Bear. He made me crazy. What? If you don't like Paddington, I'm gonna bite your ear off. Sorry
Tim.
about that. Go ahead.
What's your topic?
So my topic is the voice of our childhood,
Oh, bless your
which
heart.
is this man right
Rob
here.
Paulsen.
It's crazy.
Standing ovation if you
Slow
could
clap.
stand.
We can't. We worked
So what's crazy here
Who knew
is-
that the voice of your childhood was a middle-aged white guy?
I did.
It was probable.
that.
But
That's what I
so
figured
what's
at the time.
crazy about this is you literally voiced half of the characters that meant anything to any of us.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate
And
that.
that's crazy because like just talking to you now, being in the same room with you, it's always nuts to talk to these people that like you hear the voice and you know the voice, but you can't put a face to that voice. And then the second you do, you're just like, oh my god.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. Thank you, by the way. That's really sweet. And what I'm finding, having been doing this for a long time, or having been around for a long time, is that when people find out, who I am and what I do, it all it does is engender a happy response. And I swear to God, it's the sweetest thing in the world. This weekend, we do this show at Sketchfest. Just like every other weekend, there will be a handful of people out of the 400 or 500 who will come up and afterwards and say, I mean, I love Pinky in the Brain, but my brother had, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the only thing that got him through his treatments were Pinky in the Brain. Or my brother and I, my parents got a divorce, and my brother and I held on to each other watching Ninja Turtles. And they get emotional because it takes them to a place where, but for that show, they would have been miserable. And it's not just me. I mean, it could be Tiny Toons or The Simpsons or whatever it is, And so I am so incredibly grateful that I'm around and that I can experience this from a purely selfish standpoint, hearing things like that. And when people take the time to say, I love G.I. Joe, are you kidding me?
God.
Oh my God. It's wonderful. So I'm so grateful, man.
For the 1% of our audience that is not up to your full catalog, can you run us through the highlights?
I want them dead. I want their families dead. I want the house burnt to the ground. No.
Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from. Yeah, what? Just give me the highlights.
I was excited to see where you're going to go with that. Let's start from the beginning, as if you knew the beginning. You
gonna say,
knew Rob's catalog.
I was going to actually say my beginning. I was like, let's start with the early 80s.
There's a Rain Man vibe. Of course, we'll start from the beginning. Of course, we'll start when you started in 1983, December 47th, 1894. No, the first cartoons I did. Well, I came out here in 1978. Came to California ostensibly to do live action, and which I did. And in those days, of course, animation was pretty much relegated to ABC, CBS, and NBC on Saturday morning, right? There was no DirecTV, no DVD. I mean, Betamax was still around, right? Wow. So, and there was occasional local channels that would have syndicated cartoons, but by and large, most cartoons were Saturday morning on the three major networks. There's no Fox. So it wasn't like I didn't want to do cartoons. I just knew that I was coming out to work. And whatever that meant was great. I had theater and music background. And then when I got the opportunities in the mid-'80s, that's when Marvel kind of started doing their syndicated G.I. Joe, Transformers, and all that stuff. And so I read for those, and the very first shows that I got were G.I. Joe and Transformers. I was Tripwire and Snow Job, right? And I love Snow Job because he was that sort of a Bostonian fella, right? Fella from down east from up there. And Snow Job was always dressed in white because he was a Snow Job.
Yeah.
He was an Alpine fighter, right? And it was really great. He had his white skis, his white weapon, his white hood, his white outfit and all that, and a big, bright red beard. So I'm thinking to myself, any Ruski worth his salt can say, shoot the red beard guy. I can see you, Snow Job. But that was my, and what a group. I mean, it was right. And so at the same time, they were producing Transformers. And I didn't come
who were you in Transformers?
I was, I did aerial bots. I was like,
Silverbolt?
no, oh God, I can't remember.
Air Raid?
Air Raid. Yeah, Air Raid. And, who needs Miley Cyrus when you got
Well, he is my little Miley Cyrus. For now, he's placeholder.
my little Miley Cyrus?
If I can trade him out for Miley,
I love it. Look at your face; it's the
gone.
same color as my name. It's turning all pink.
I'm a pink man.
Narf. So, I was just, it was great, but I'm working with Peter Cullen and Frank Welker and all these people whom I'd known kind of peripherally, but now I'm working with these guys who are the best at the best. But, I knew that there were literally a handful of people who were doing all the cartoons, but it doesn't take very long when you're working for you to sort of take the bird in the hand. And I remember that at the time I started doing a lot of cartoons, my son was coming along and my wife said, it's not that I think you're difficult to look at or anything like that, but there are a million average-looking white guys with SAG cards in L.A. So if you're going to... And I was doing pilots and getting work on camera and all that, but, man, I was all of a sudden getting hired to do things that I would never be considered for on camera. Like
a transforming robot.
Like a transforming
Or an
robot.
Alpine soldier.
Right, or an Alpine soldier. Or what the first regular gig I got that was a big deal for me was they did a reboot of Johnny Quest. And when I was a kid, Johnny Quest, Tim Matheson was the voice of Johnny Quest in the early mid-'60s. And I loved that show. It was a primetime show on ABC like the Flintstones, right? So Hanna-Barbera did it again in the mid-'80s, and I got hired to be Haji. So I'm this kid from Flint, Michigan going, "Careful, Race, it's a pterodactyl." That I would never get a chance to read for. So all of a sudden, I am a little Indian boy, and now I date them. No. So... It was great, and so from there it was a lot of stuff at Hanna-Barbera, Smurfs, and then I started working at Disney, doing the Disney afternoon stuff. This was when the Disney afternoon stuff started really coming along. Disney Channel started kind of, but it was Gummy Bears and Darkwing Duck. I played a character called Steelbeak on Darkwing Duck, who was a character with a steel beak, right? Ergo the name. You see what I did there?
Right.
It was just better written back
They
then.
were artists.
They were artists. Right. So I did that, a lot of Disney stuff, and then that led to a bunch of stuff at pretty much all the Disney afternoon stuff, Rescue Rangers and where the
Who were you in Rescue
Goof
Rangers?
Troop. I was a guy called PJ on Goof Troop, a big fat kid on Goof Troop.
Were you him in the Goofy movie?
Yeah. Right. How about that? Hey, look, they're wetting their pants. And then it was kind of like all of a sudden Warner Brothers jumped on board, and then we did Tiny Toons and Tasmania, and then that led to Animaniacs, and then it spun off Pinky and the Brain. Then we did Hysteria, and in the middle of that, I was doing The Tick and The Mask. I was The Mask. I was Jim Carrey for a whole lot less money.
What were you in the Tick?
I was Arthur. Yeah.
Which one was
Arthur,
was-
he's the guy
Oh,
in white.
you were Arthur?
He was the side
my
tick.
God.
See what I did there? Side tick.
Ah, man, you've been doing this
That
a
was
while.
a long time. Yeah, so I was
Wait,
Arthur.
that just blew my mind. You were
Yeah.
you were the lead. That's hilarious.
That's
Yeah.
what
So
I was
awesome.
talking about. Like when you're like, I always tell the story whenever we're together. Of course, is at Comic-Con when we first met 2 years ago.
Oh, this is a great story.
When they're like, yeah, I'm like they're bringing people in left and right, left and right, and all right. Now up is the cast of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. I'm like, all right, who are they? And like it's Sean Astin. I'm like, Rudy, got it. They're like, it's Bland from Arrested Development. I'm like, all right, great. And then they're like, it's Rob Paulsen, and I'm like, who is Rob Paulsen? And like, oh, he was originally Raphael, now he's Donatello. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I like the Turtles. That's enough. And we're talking about Turtles, and yeah, you in the middle of your interview just go blah blah blah. And then when we went to do Animaniacs, and you can see me, I just go. And like all the gears click, and I'm like, "That's fucking Yakko. I'm talking to Yakko. I am talking to Yakko." Like I didn't say it on the air. Yeah, exactly.
I didn't prepare.
Oh well, but see that's exactly precisely what I'm talking about. You guys, is that reaction is so incredibly. It's wonderful. Yeah. Every actor wants to be in a position. I mean, to have somebody take the time to say, "Oh my God, I love your work," and not only that, but it just makes me feel good.
Sure.
And so I all of that and. My God, the like we said, The Tick, The Mask. I did a show. My kid's favorite show that I did, who's now 30, was Mighty Max. I did this show called Mighty Max.
Yeah, I'm quite familiar with Mighty
And I was Max, right?
You were Max?
I was Max. But great people. We had Tim Curry was Skullmaster, and Richard Mall from Night Court was my protector. The late great Tony J was Virgil, this big talking chicken. Incredible, really interesting show.
Yeah.
People characters died in the show.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense for mid-'90s.
I want to back up real quick.
Sure.
Because you just blew my mind with The Tick. The Tick was one of my all-time favorite shows.
And it should be. That show is brilliant.
When you
Totally underrated.
First of all, do they give you the full script, or do you just get your sides for?
No, we
when
get
you
the
go
full
in?
script.
When you read the first few scripts, were you like, "This is
totally.
I don't get this," or "This is genius"?
No, totally, because and you may remember. Forgive me, I feel really stupid, and I'll remember his name later. But the gentleman who created The Tick, he is one of the executive producers on what's the Supernatural?
Okay.
Ben Edlund.
Okay.
Ben Edlund. At the time, he was like 22, really precocious young fella, you know.
I hate him.
And so I'm reading. Well, I read the script, and there's an interesting story about that. I read the script, went in, auditioned, and as Greg said, I was Raphael in the original Ninja Turtles, and the guy who played Michelangelo, Townsend Coleman, got the job to be. He's the Tick in the animated series. So that the guy was Michelangelo is also the Tick. Well, Townie and I had obviously been working together for years on Turtles, and they said, "Hey, we really would like to hire you to be Arthur." And I said, "Great." The night before we were supposed to record the first episode, I got a phone call from our director, Sue Blue, who said they decided they want to put a celebrity talent as the voice of Arthur. And I thought, oh, shit. Well, it happens. You know, what are you going to do? But you'll be in every episode, and you'll be coming back as, you know, you're not going to do Arthur. I said, okay. So they hired Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees. I don't know if you guys remember the Monkees. Mickey Dolenz was the Arthur, right? And my response, my response inside my thought process, my little selfish brain was, Mickey Dolenz? I mean, I love the Monkees because when I was a kid, I used to watch that. But if you're going to hire a celebrity to draw people to the show, no offense, Mickey Dolenz?
Yeah,
you know?
You're not getting the
Right.
kids to watch.
But of course, hey, listen, I learned. I'm just grateful to work, and I still have that sort of Midwestern work ethic mindset. Where if you're gonna bring me in to do this, are you kidding me? You want to talk to me? I'm grateful that I'll be there.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'm going to be a team player. And after the first 12 episodes, Mickey got a job where he had to go on the road. And then the producers came back and said, we really feel bad about what happened. And would you now do Arthur? Because we're going to do 2 more years of the Tick. Mm-hmm. And I said, I will. But you have to promise me, and it's only a handshake, but you have to promise me that if Mickey comes back off the road from doing There's a Girl in My Soup or whatever he was doing, that you still stick with me.
Yeah.
Because I was a team player. I didn't get pissed off. And,
Yeah.
Sure, but you start to own that character after
right.
a while, and it's like
they said okay, and they did. So Mickey did the first 12 episodes, and I did the last 24.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Man, I'm telling you, when I read that stuff right off the bat, I thought this is so.
It's wild, right?
Out
it was
there.
so weird. I mean, that's the show in my mind was brilliant, but
Oh,
I don't know that it was necessarily a huge success just because I think.
No, I think it was a time, and
Way
it was
ahead
on
of its time.
Comedy
Yeah.
Central for a while. But the other cast members, Maurice LaMarche, my friend the Brain, who plays the Brain, did a great character on that show, recurring character called the Mad Bomber with bombs.
Oh
at
my
midnight.
God, the man.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Oh, that's Maurice.
Oh my God.
It's fantastic.
It's just the whole episode. He puts bombs all over. It's genius.
It's
Sorry.
genius. So thank you for but you're right. It was.
Who played Chairface Chippendale? That's what I was. Gonna ask.
That was Cam Clark, who was. Oh no, he played Chairface Chippendale was I think Jess Harnell, who was Wacko and on Animaniacs.
No shit.
And the other one, the Fledermaus,
Yeah.
that was Cam Clark, who was Leonardo on Ninja Turtles.
Oh my God, it's so ridiculous. Like it must have been like it must be fun when you show up. And I imagine that you probably don't record all together. You probably just go.
Well,
into
we
your
did
lines.
in those days.
Did you?
Yeah,
That
all the
must have been a
Turtles,
blast.
Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, we were all together. And if you guys ever come to LA, like right now, the biggest thing I'm working on, which is a blast, is Turtles again.
Yeah.
And those sessions are a frickin' hoot. So if you guys want to come down, you're in town. Bring it to a session.
Yeah.
You tell us when a session's
Oh
happening.
no,
We'll
it's
just come.
really cool. We've
Don't
got
worry
some
about it.
great actors
Game
on
Over
that
Greggy show
show.
cross with TMNT
Yeah.
and Zyrecast.
Oh, it's really fun. But yeah, being together in that room with those people, and I remember I came up with Tress McNeil last night to do a sketch fest here, and she was Babs Bunny and Dot and Gadget on Rescue Rangers, and just incredible. And she's she plays Mom on Futurama. She's the crazy cat lady amongst everything else on Simpsons. I mean, you look up Tress McNeil on IMDb, and it's like the Manhattan phone book, right? Yeah. But I remember being in sessions with Tress at Animaniacs and just looking at each other going, honey, take a picture of this because it does not get any better.
I mean, that's like top. That's top. You guys
Steven
are like top talent, man.
Spielberg,
That's awesome.
both sides of the glass, 40-piece orchestra for every half hour's worth of music. So, honestly, if Ninja Turtles changed my career, then Animaniacs kind of changed my life because all of a sudden you're working and you're hired specifically by Steven Spielberg to do this new golden age of animation at Warner Brothers, right? And everybody won Emmys and Peabodys, and it's still to this day, thanks to folks like you, and the fact that it's really good, is that it holds up. 20 years later.
Oh yeah.
You can watch Animaniacs. It's not dated. It's not jaded. It's really good, and the music is timeless. Thanks to Randy Rogel and Richard Stone and Julian Steve Bernstein. These people all won a pile of Emmys, and they should have, and they're all still writing stuff. So it's that sort of takes you up to now. But what's cool? Oh, in the middle, kind of. I was also Carl on Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Tim's eyes can't get any wider.
This is awesome.
That's so weird, huh?
The most important question I have is, so you were Raphael in the original Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Did you do the Raphael voice in the theme song of the Ninja Turtles?
No, and we didn't record the original theme song.
Well, I know, but there's one.
He has
Give
one
line.
break,
Yeah, give me a break. Was that you?
That was not me.
See, I
but
had
you
a
know who
feeling
wrote
it
that
wasn't.
song? It was written by Chuck Lorre, who produces 3.5 Men,
Really?
2.5 Men,
Yeah, Two and a
and Big Bang, right?
Yeah.
Chuck Lorre wrote that.
He wrote it.
Yeah, so because he needed the money. In those days, apparently he did. So he made a ton of dough writing that thing. But I just did a podcast, my podcast, the last one I did.
Talking Tunes.
Talking
Available
Tunes.
now
Thank you
everywhere.
very much.
Podcast
Yeah.
services.
Thank you, buddy. And I had Kevin Eastman on because Kevin,
Oh, yeah.
and so Kevin came on, and he's just delightful, and we're about the same age, and of course the conversation went around to, we do it live at the Improv in Hollywood, and we had a couple hundred people there, and the question actually always comes up: did you have any idea? And he just said, "What can I tell you? Me and Peter Laird were a couple of bong water drinking cats from Maine and New Hampshire." And they borrowed money from their respective aunts and uncles and parents to produce their first comic book, which ultimately sold 15,000 copies, which they freaked out because they could all of a sudden, buy a piece of furniture,
Right.
or new milk cartons or milk crates, right, for their furniture. And who knew that this was the 30th anniversary? 2014 was the 30th anniversary of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'm on the latest iteration of the show, which has done incredibly well. And it's huge again, arguably as big as it's ever been. If you go to Toys R Us or
Yep,
any place else,
they're
the
everywhere.
It's crazy. So to get a chance to do 2 versions of that show, the original, which will always be cool, and then 20 odd years later, I get to do a new iteration, which is being produced by people your age who arguably get it better than anybody because they grew up, they know the mythology, and they know the whole circumstance. So Ciro Nieli and Brandon Allman, who are producing it, are doing a hell of a job, and it's just a gas to do it again. It's cool.
So have you been working with them like the same core group? I mean, because every time you talk about something, Maurice is a part of it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, it's like Maurice and you seem attached to the hip. When did that start? And then has it just been? Is this whole business just referrals? Like, oh, they cast you, and they're like, well, who do you work well with, or how have we seen you with?
When you're lucky enough to work a lot, then producers will do that. It doesn't. I mean, I'm not a celebrity talent. The characters, and you guys are being very sweet, but the truth is,
shut the fuck
No,
up.
no,
This
no,
is the
no,
same
listen.
shit you pulled it up
No,
at
no,
me
but
when you're like,
listen
oh,
to me.
you
No,
guys are treating me
but-
like a celebrity.
no,
You're
no.
eating out of a cardboard box.
yeah, but we were talking about this earlier. The characters are the famous ones. I don't write them and I don't draw them. I mean, I certainly think I add an integral component to the character.
Sure.
But I'm not an animator. I'm an actor. And so I get that it's the characters who are famous. I love the fact that people are starting to make a fuss over me. Anybody actor that says, I hate it when people, that's bullshit. We do this because, you want to make an impact on somebody. And so it's incredibly flattering that people are paying attention to me and others who do this. But what's really ironic is that if I were to spend 2 years on a sitcom being the next door goofy neighbor on Who's Cooking the Soup, and then went back to doing
that a real
cartoons.
sitcom that
No, but isn't that a great name?
That's a great name.
Write that down.
Can we write that right
Thursdays,
now?
who's Greg's back? Colin's got him. Thursdays on CBS. Who's cooking the soup?
Are you cooking the soup
Are you
today?
cooking the soup
I thought
today?
you were cooking
I
the
am.
soup today.
Sponsored by Progresso. But
This is going to be a thing right now.
yeah, totally.
talk
It's
afterward.
going to be a meme.
We have to cut the these 3 guys out of it, though.
That's okay.
They're dead weight.
We don't need them. They're
Dead
just
weight.
lose them. Lose the losers.
We're definitely not cooking the soup.
But the truth is that if I were to all of a sudden become recognizable to folks in the street and in Hollywood, they say, hey, that guy who's on Who's Cooking the Soup? He does really great voices. That guy's been doing cartoons. Let's hire him in our new big Pixar movie. So, I don't. I'm getting more and more gigs that are just given to me because I've done it a lot. But when it comes to a big show like a new Ninja Turtles, they're going to audition actors, and because it's a huge property for Viacom, who owns Nickelodeon and Paramount and everything else. And hell, I remember getting a call back. Let me back up a little bit. I almost was a victim of my own ageism because I had been doing it for so long that my agent called and said, hey, they're going to audition for Ninja Turtles. Do you want to read? And I said, well, yeah, but do they know who I am? Not out of arrogance, But because I knew there had been several iterations of the show that had been done without any of the original cast members,
Right.
and that's fine. A new producer owns the property. He wants to put his own stamp on it. I totally get that. I just said, I don't want to get in there and say, oh, this old guy was Raphael. And, oh, he's here. Let's throw him a bone, you know. And because I'm not famous, I mean, physically, I'm not aware that people know who I am. Until they find out what I do, then they know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So my agent called back and said, are you kidding me? No, they know about Pinky. They're like you guys. They know about Raphael. They know you won an Emmy for this. They just think you'd be great for Donatello if you wouldn't mind reading. And I said, well, hell no, but I'm 54 years. I have no problem reading. I just want to make sure they know that they don't give a shit how old you are.
It's your voice.
Right? And it was hard for me to comprehend that because I'm living in this shell, right?
Sure.
No pun intended.
Oh, that's a good one, man.
Thank you. And so I went in and read, but the thing that really got my attention was that when I read and started getting callbacks, I thought, holy shit, I think I got a crack at this. And then on the second or third callback, I'll walk in a room and here's, Jason Bateman and Will Wheaton and all these other people who are, reading for Ninja Turtles, John Cryer. And I'm going, well, these guys don't need the dough. They just want to be on the frickin' Turtles.
Yeah.
This is really cool. And I get a call. My agent said, how do you feel about doing Turtles again? I said, are you fucking kidding me? He said, nope, you're Donatello. And what an incredible thrill to do it again. It's fantastic. And arguably, you could make the argument, I think, even if you look at it objectively from the critical success, the vast majority of people who watch the show that who are your age,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kids, of course, love it too. But the kids, the folks your age, will say, I didn't want to like this show. Because
It's the truth, though.
Right.
But when you compare it to the original, it's one of those things. Obviously, I love the original.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, this one is legitimately good.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
really
just like,
is.
oh, I was
It's
a little
not
kid and I like
nostalgic.
these things.
No,
Yeah,
even
it's
my kid who's not afraid to, cut me. He called me. He said, I'll watch a few of them and then I'll let you know. And he said, you know what? This is unbelievably good. And it's because the people are your age who are
Yep.
making it. They totally get it. And I know I've strayed a little bit from your original question.
That's
but
how the show goes. Don't
I know,
worry.
but the
You want to talk about the Dyson vacuum again? We'll talk about the Dyson vacuum again.
Let's not
Maurice
talk about the
has a
Dyson
Dyson vacuum. How's that for a segue? But no, Maurice is one of those guys. There certainly is a group of a sort of core group of voice actors whom you find in most
Yeah.
shows. Billy West, DiMaggio, Tress, Tara Strong, Maurice,
Clancy Brown makes the rounds.
Clancy. Just an incredible. And we talked about him trying to get on your show, and
And he never called me
He
back.
never did. I'm
Thanks,
sorry.
Clancy.
He's-
Now who's got 100,000 YouTube subs?
That's right.
Me. How many you got? Nothing.
Fuck
Enjoy
this.
your Lex Luthor money. Fuck you.
he is a great guy, but he's in all those too.
No, he seems nice.
He's on
He's
on
definitely
Turtles.
not coming on the show now.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Oh, you just shot yourself right in
Oh,
both
that,
feet.
he understands.
Yeah.
If he couldn't roll with that joke, if he
No,
doesn't
he's
get
gonna
that fun.
he totally good. He's a great guy. But my God, we've got Roseanne has been on the show, and we've got Sean Astin is now Raphael, Seth Green is Leonardo. I'm Donatello. Greg Sipes is Mikey. Mae Whitman is April. It's great. But like you said, Maurice has been on the show, but Maurice won back-to-back Emmys for his work on Futurama.
Right.
Because Mo is Morbo and Kif Kroker and so many other, you see all these actors, and the truth is, and it's not because there's no room for anybody else, it's because it's like any other thing. We're all utility players, right? And when a producer says, "Wow, I can call Maurice and get 10 different voices out of this guy,
yeah.
all of which will be fleshed out."
Egon in Real Ghostbusters.
Right? Yeah, same thing. And Dave Coulier and all these great actors who will be Welker. It's not that it's impossible to break in. It's just that you've got all these people who can do it.
Yeah, and I'd imagine also you have a cadence together. Like,
Yes, we
you've
do. We work
worked so
together
much.
like with Billy and DiMaggio and all that stuff, and we all work together so well. But also, there are new folks that come in. Like a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, D. Bradley Baker burst onto the
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
He is from another planet, man. And Jeff Bennett before him. Jeff Bennett is just outrageous, So there's room, and now we've got kids like Eric Bauza who have broken in, just doing really, really great work. And also there's tons of work now because there's so much.
Yeah, there's a lot more volume.
I'm doing two new shows for Netflix that are being done by DreamWorks specifically for. They're doing 12 new animated shows of 78 or 80 episodes each, specifically for Netflix.
And Netflix just ordered that many.
They got the
chaos.
cash.
That's
and
awesome.
It's
They
really
get my
cool.
money every damn
yeah.
month.
And Danny Jacobs, who does the voice of King Julian in Penguins of Madagascar for Nickelodeon, they're doing a King Julian show for Netflix, and he's just crazy good. Scripts are amazing. All the talent that that have been on TV and in the movies, and they're doing it just for Netflix. So it's just a brave new world, and I'm so grateful because nobody cares what I look like. It's about
Can you still do your, can I still go, hello, nurse? And when I do that, you do that.
It's true.
You just start to
That's
smile.
all that matters.
It's all
you
fantastic.
You do have a great smile, though.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going to put that out there.
Well, it's the best smile money can buy. I got these on eBay. And I staple them into my gums because they don't fit.
Right. Well,
They were made originally for.
Oh God. Now, Nick, you do your walk-in, and then
No, I can't. The thing is,
No,
I'm
you
so
can't do it.
embarrassed to do a walk-in in front of people who do this, not professionally, but like on a different level professionally.
Well, the fact is that there is no reason that you can't join in the fun. I propose for all you guys here and those of you out there who want to see it that we do a new show called The Walken.
Oh, we're gonna
Dead.
do.
You waited. You fucked up my pause.
I did.
The Walken. Dead.
I'm calling it right now. I'm putting this out there on the table. We're probably gonna be this table. We're probably gonna be in LA sooner than this, but if not, for sure, probably for E3.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, good.
That's
in May, right?
June.
June. Okay.
We'll reach out to you beforehand. We'll probably, knowing us, we'll give you about
We'll
a day,
get a whole
day
bunch
notice.
of actors
I
together.
want to get everyone that's been on here that's done walk-in, and I want to do a walk-in off.
I'd love to.
And I just want you can't bring another character in. You can't come in as
All right.
yourself. You got to come in as walk-in.
Walk-in.
You got to sit down as walk-in. And I'm gonna interview. I'm gonna
I
moderate.
need more
Walk in is
cowbell.
walking.
You gotta walk in as walk-in. And I want to try to get at least, because we have 3. You do a fantastic walk-in.
You know
your,
who else
Your
does?
walk-in is. Sorry, who are you gonna
No,
say?
mine's I think a little older, a younger walk.
Yours is a younger walk-in.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that because, and that's what it was. I think it was Kevin Pollak who said you have to pick. Oh wait, was it Kevin or was it Troy?
Troy said it, but he was quoting somebody else.
I think he was quoting Kevin, who said Kevin Pollak, of course,
Yeah.
is like
Excellent.
excellent.
And he's a
walk-in.
very close friend of Maurice. He and Mo are good buddies.
He says you have to pick your era of
Right.
walk-in, right?
Right.
Yours is very, very much
Deer Hunter
like,
version.
yeah, Deer Hunter. I was gonna say, right,
Up
Deer
there.
Hunter, Blue
because
Velvet.
the way that my voice is positioned in my throat makes me a younger Hoffa.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's the.
But
Troy Baker's. Do you know Troy Baker?
Oh, I know him very well, yeah.
Troy's is now. Like
Yeah.
it is current. It is pauses where he just loses himself for a second
Yeah.
and then comes right back to it on a totally different tangent.
crazy.
And then Michael Rosenbaum does
Oh,
a
yeah.
fantastic walk-in.
Yeah.
So
There's
those are,
even Nolan North out. He does an amazing.
Nolan does a great
Nolan
one.
is
Jeff
good.
Bennett, Jess Harnell does a great. He does the good walking, like the Captain
so-
Hook walking.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's my walk-in.
You know what I told
That's
those
the only walk-in
guys?
I do.
I told them the show was a crock. Yeah.
That's the only walk-in I
Forgive
do.
me.
My era of walk-in is just that 2-hour period where he had the bad wig,
Yeah.
the hook.
Ask
and
Peter
was
why
just,
he's so young for us.
Peter, why are you so young? What's with those thighs? The virile.
Now say it's fine.
It's fine, Peter.
Hey,
You're giving me goosebumps.
that's pretty good. The way that you ask him, why is he so young? Very good.
All right, we're doing
Very
this.
good, buddy.
We're doing
All right,
this.
the walking off is happening. Kind of
I love
funny
how
bits.
Christopher Walken has become a seminal part of this
Totally.
show. Like a seminal and central part of what we do is Christopher Walken.
I don't think you realize how much Christopher Walken has influenced your life.
Oh,
I think
my
you
God.
I think I realized.
I think
exactly
you need to go
how much-
home and you need to shut a door and you need to think about Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
And how much he
spend
means
some
to you.
time.
I am home. It's my house.
But the camera's in the
my
doorway. We
house.
can't shut it. So
This is where I live. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Rob,
Yeah.
what's your topic? What have you brought to the show?
You know, my topic, and I don't mean to be a big turd in a punch bowl, but here I go. I having been around a little bit now, I read a great quote many years ago that I think is true to some extent, and I'll explain why. And it's not meant to be an admonishment or sort of a fight picker quote, but I read a quote years ago from Winston Churchill that said, "Show me a man who's 20 and not a liberal, and I'll show you a man with no heart. Show me a man who's 40 and not a conservative, and I'll show you a man with no brain. Now, what he and remind you, the context in which that quote was made was probably in the late 30s. Okay, but I am probably now, as an older person, I'm very socially liberal and financially conservative. I think it's because it's, I earn my living and I pay a lot of taxes. What my topic is, I get, oh my God, and I think it's because that people can say things on the web or Facebook or Twitter with complete impunity.
Yeah.
And what they do is they start to pick fights when, if you say, they'll say things like, Barack Obama's the Antichrist, or George Bush, that fucking Nazi. Well, the problem with that is that you, in my view, you automatically lose your place at the table of rational thought.
Sure.
Right? So that you can't, it's like, dude, your ideology is showing. So what happens is you become such an ideologue that, or not you, one becomes such an ideologue that it sort of inures you to whatever facts are available. So that whether so if you read the LA Times or the San Francisco Chronicle and you watch MSNBC and Fox News and CNN and whatever to make yourself, as knowledgeable as you can about a subject, and then have a debate or a discussion, even a contentious debate, in which it gets heated. But the moment you cross over into ad hominem, you know what? You're just a Republican asshole, or you're just one of those other fucking bleeding heart liberals who doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Well, then there's no discussion.
Right.
And that kind of stuff drives me nuts because I know great people on both sides of the spectrum, and I would bet that most people who take that tack, tact, right?
He's having a stroke.
Right, I know.
Tack.
That's right. Excuse me, Garcon, could I have a seizure salad? But that's why I make the big dough, baby. But no, the point is that when that happens, you just go, with all due respect to people who live in LA, like me, or San Francisco, or New York, or Miami, the bastions of a lot of liberalism, there's a huge part of the country between the coasts.
Yeah.
Many of whom are really decent, lovely people. And, my kid, the other day, we were talking about, I can't believe that we still can't pass gay marriage in the state of California. I said, buddy, it'll happen. It'll happen. Now, I don't want the courts to do it. I'm one of those guys that says, I voted against, the measure that would prohibit gay marriage. Because my brother is gay. I have a very unique perspective as well. My brother is gay. I love him more than my own life. And my son is engaged to a beautiful woman from Nigeria whose parents are Muslim. So I'm in a really unique position, and I was born and raised in Michigan. Yeah. Okay, so I'm a Midwestern boy.
Melting pot.
Right, with a son whom I adore, who's married to a woman of color, or is going to be, and her parents are from Nigeria, and she's Muslim. And my brother's gay. So
you got the whole spectrum.
I got the whole spectrum.
You
so
really
when
do.
I see people on both sides of the issue who start to name call, out of the gate, then it's impossible to have a cogent, thoughtful discussion, which I think then, in my humble view, leads to what you end up having in Washington, is you just have gridlock. And I understand that politics is a blood sport. I understand there's a lot of money involved. I totally get that. But from a grassroots level in which people try to discuss issues at the coffee shop, on camera, with your buddies, it's just, you kind of cut off your nose to spite your face with all these really great people. I know wonderful people who are dedicated, deeply rooted Christian people who don't give a damn about whether or not you want to marry your boyfriend. Are you a decent person that wants to help further the country? And I also know people on the left who are complete atheists, but they would have no interest in hurting anybody. It just isn't their life isn't a religious bent. But they don't name call and pigeonhole people with respect to their political persuasion. And that's the kind of stuff that drives me nuts, man. So I don't mean, like I said, I don't mean to be a big downer.
You've brought a great topic to the table that is definitely Colin Moriarty always over here.
Yeah.
Living example of everything you're talking about in the good side, the positive side.
Only.
Colin is he's just like you.
Yeah.
Socially liberal, conservative when it comes to money and everything else and policy. And so that when
Sexually evocative.
Sexually evocative, of course.
Very. I was gonna
Champion
say,
in the bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what? If I were younger I would be all over you like white on rice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
I'd like to have a little snow job.
Yeah, okay. That's
See what I just did there?
not to do the old callback to the last topic, but when you saw Snow Job, were you like, I can own this, or this one's gonna be one that haunts me for the rest of my life?
No, I just was glad to be working. Dude, I was 29 years old, so I was going, oh my God, I'm gonna be working in cartoons. And you know what was the cool thing? Not to deviate too much, but when I saw my first action figure, which was Snow Job,
Yeah.
that to like a little boy is bitching.
Yeah.
And
I have that one.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
And people send them to me. It's like, do you ever see this, Mr. Paulsen? I'm like, yeah.
I got a room full of those right now. I signed them.
Snow Job wall.
Oh my God, no! It's the
You can't
greatest.
see it because the wall's white and
Yeah.
it's just a little red mustache.
So you are kind of socially liberal and fiscally.
Yeah,
conservative.
I'm a Republican. Like
Yeah.
I say that through and through, and
Right.
people out there know that or whatever. I just consider myself a real Republican. What we always talk about is,
Limited government.
yeah, limited government. And to me, we've talked about this many times on our other shows and stuff, but I consider myself very consistent. So the consistent Republican stance to me is actually pro-gay marriage because it's the government not telling you what to do.
What in your bedroom. Right.
It's the same reason why they shouldn't be. I believe in no income tax.
Right.
Like, so I'm very libertarian
Yeah.
in a sense too. But
Like you're like Alexis de Tocqueville in that respect.
I love Alexis de Tocqueville.
So do Tim and I.
Yeah.
He wrote.
Class act.
Alexis de Tocqueville was a French writer that came to the United States and was one of the first people to write about the United States after the Revolution to explain what the hell was going on here to the rest of the world. To me, it's all about consistency, and that's basically it. So the consistent view of a Republican should be out of your business. That means out of your bedroom. That means out of your wallet. That means like out of your church. That means all of that kind of stuff. Like. The thing I always say, because I agree with you, that the internet's very hostile to people like me.
Oh my goodness!
And
particularly people like you. If you're a young guy and you live in San Francisco, and
you have your constitutional tattoos all over.
You got people. How can you not? What are you fucking fascist? And I go, fascist? And that's
Do you
the
even
thing.
know what a
Do you know what
fascist
fascism
means?
is? And what that does to me is, forgive me for
No,
interrupting.
it's okay. You're not
but what
interrupting.
that does to me is, as a person who is old enough, my parents were around for the Second World War. All right, so they really were, to a large extent, the greatest generation. Those people literally, and I get goosebumps, they literally saved the world. They saved the world from fascism and Nazism. So when I have firsthand knowledge of people who were around who say, here's what happened, then you kind of want to go, you really dilute your argument to the extent you have one when you resort to ad hominem attacks and you use terms like fascism, Nazism to describe any American president. I don't care what your political persuasion is, but if I voted on both sides of the aisle, depending, I'm a registered independent.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, but the last time I remember walking in front of a post office, I saw a guy who had a picture of Barack and Stalin and Hitler. The inference was that these, if you want to vote for Barack Obama, here's what you're going to get. And I said to him, look, man, I'm not really crazy about Barry's policies either. But elections have consequences. And he was voted and he won. And I'm not one of those guys who says, you're not my president. I'm an American. I want him to help the country. If he doesn't, he's out. And I will vote against him next time. But to the extent you have a cogent argument, what you're doing is not helping, because you're comparing an American president to people who are responsible for the deaths of hundreds of millions of their own people.
Yeah.
And I don't recall any American president or any American politician, promoting genocide against Americans. So, that's like, let's have a discussion, not a pissing contest. So God bless you. That's incredible that you have the courage of your conviction.
Oh yeah, I mean, anyone out there that knows me for a long time knows that I don't give a flying fuck when anyone thinks about the things that I say. I say what I say, and that's it. I mean, my Twitter account is no taxation.
Right.
My picture is the Gadsden flag. So it's like, but you see, the thing you brought up Alexis de Tocqueville, so you obviously know your history. I know my history too. I studied it, and it's my greatest love, more than video games, more than anything.
More than me?
And more than even Greg.
Oh man.
God.
And
Not more than Snow Job.
Well, that's a different story.
Snow job, American
That's a different
history,
Greg
mayonnaise.
Miller.
Yo, Joe.
But oh my god.
How about that?
God.
He's starting to perspire.
I'm gonna lose my mind. I think understanding politics and being able to talk cogently about politics really does require historical knowledge and political historical knowledge, especially. So I agree with you. When people bring up Nazism, for instance, you have to be crazy to compare anything in this world, really, with the exception of a few things maybe going on in certain countries,
right
to
now, yes,
Nazism,
right, yeah.
and especially in the United States. And then Stalin, of course, who purged, hundreds of thousands, millions even of his own people and sent them to Siberia because they were political adversaries.
Right.
These things only really go on in like North Korea and certain other countries today. So to be able to argue rationally about these things, you can't just throw terms around like that. See, the thing that I'm really proud of is that no one can put me in a box.
Right.
It's like I don't believe in God.
Nobody puts Colin
I
in a
don't
corner.
like all these things that Republicans you're a Republican. It's
So
like,
you must be a God-fearing right-wing motherfucker.
yeah, exactly.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
no, and they're like, well, why are you a Republican? I'm like, because I agree with the important parts of that platform,
Yeah.
and to me, the important parts of the platform are not the social issues.
Right.
When younger people like us take over the Republican Party, which is already happening, my girlfriend and I were watching after the State of the Union, MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy in suburban Chicago, or like in the suburbs of Chicago, who was elected to the House, who's like 31 years old, a Republican dude, who's like total. And I'm like, this is the future.
That's
like
the future.
He's like, I just stay out of my pocket. I don't care what you do in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Right.
And like that's the
platform
Yeah.
that will win every time.
And it
that's
will.
what I can't
that-
believe why people fight it so hard.
Well, and I think you guys, you're right. There are a lot of younger, like my kid. My kid is 30, and he's a pretty liberal guy and all that. But he doesn't. Well, I shouldn't say he doesn't. He's starting to understand that what he is socially liberal.
Yeah.
And because I'm in show business, I've got lots of gay and lesbian friends, and that meant nothing to me. It really truly was about, like MLK said, about the content of their character. So when I hear people making remarks, and when I hear people like Harry Belafonte referring to Condoleezza Rice as the slave master's bitch for her political. This is a woman who came from nothing and rose to be the Secretary of State. She's now a full professor at State. She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But because of her political persuasion and because she doesn't toe the line with respect to the large voting bloc of African Americans, Harry Belafonte and Al Sharpton and guys that are supposed leaders, Julian Bond, will refer to them as what's his name, Colin Powell. Yeah, he's all he is George Bush's house nigger. That's vile talk. That is not discussing saying I don't like their policies. Here's why. Here's why. If you're interested in what I have to say, vote against these people or don't. But that's
everyone's looking for a soundbite.
right. They're looking for a soundbite that is so angry and so and it's the same thing with people on the hard right. But what happens to me when people take our circumstance and like the other day I made some remark about my heart really goes out to the people in France at Charlie Hebdo. Yeah. I said any prophet, small p in quotes, and that was meant to, but any prophet who engenders this type of vitriol or angry response on their behalf can kiss my First Amendment loving ass. Realizing that nobody's going to probably put a fatwa on my head. Who knows? I'll walk aside. But the first thing that happened was people saying, oh, see, now you're comparing Muslims to... No, that's not what I said. I said that these are bad people. And we talked about Stalin, Mao, Hitler. The vast majority of Germans were not Nazis. The vast majority of Chinese people were not interested in the executions that Mao Zedong... the vast majority of Russians were not Stalinists, like you said, his own people, right? But the majority and the vast majority of Muslims are not, so far as we know, interested in killing people for their religious ideology. However, in circumstances like we have in the world now, in parts of the world, the peaceful majority is irrelevant. So to say, well, most of them are nice, of course they are, and my in-laws are Muslim. They don't want to kill anybody. But we have to be aware of the fact that there are people who just will execute children, because they can't recite So anyway, my point is with all this stuff, they start to, folks who get down that angry road will start to compare the United States foreign policy with, well, look how we're imperialist pigs and look what we've done. I'm a patriotic guy, and yeah, everybody's made mistakes, but you kind of want to go with guys like Bill Gates in the world who inoculate children to the tune of $1 billion a year, and Jonas Salk, who gave the world the polio vaccine, and my parents' generation who went over and stopped Hitler. You go to Eastern Europe and talk to people who are my age, who were around when the Iron Curtain was still around, and a lot of them have great respect for the United States. So, by and large, when it all shakes down, and you're a student of history, it's been a pretty good force for good, by and large, But to compare, like you said, any Americans, politicians with all these despots makes me crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. Like a lot of people might not know. I mean, just to further illustrate the point of the Nazis, and we went over there in '44, obviously, and we took them out, but with the help of the Soviets.
Yeah.
But the Germans were so afraid of the Soviets that they would run towards the Western Front so that they wouldn't get. So they knew they were going to get captured.
Yeah.
They didn't want to get captured by the Russians.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about Americans and the way even Europeans looked at us in the 40s.
Yeah.
That they looked at us as liberators, and that they knew that we weren't going to fuck with them.
Right.
And that they didn't know what the Soviets were going to do. And obviously the Soviets built a wall and then
Yeah.
had the iron, both literally and figuratively. So yeah, I agree. Like I don't want, like calling Obama a Bolshevik or something like that. It's like, do you know what Bolshevism is?
Right.
And like how violent and terrible it was and how many people died because
my
of Bolsheviks?
God.
Like that's the kind of thing that I don't like. People throw around words that they don't understand, and they don't, because a lot of people just don't like history, and that's
And they
fine,
don't
but
want to take
talk,
the time.
Yeah, and just don't talk about it because
Yeah.
you're embarrassing yourself. But the major thing that I like about the way I approach it, and it seems like the way you approach it, is just that you can't put me in a box. I am who I am. I stick with the Republican Party because I think we can change it, and it's slowly going to become the Libertarian Party, and it already is becoming that. It's very obvious.
I voted for Harry Brown. Totally.
Look at the rise of someone like Rand Paul. Like who's not even really a Republican, who's very libertarian, who goes to somewhere like Berkeley and gets a standing ovation.
How about that?
From the people that he's talking to there, which is unheard of.
Unheard of.
For a Republican to go into somewhere like that.
And there are more and more people, doing that. But the thing is that I totally agree with you. I have no desire, even if I disagree with Barack's policies. He's not a Bolshevik. He's not the Antichrist. He's not a Nazi. He's not a the People's Republic of Chicago.
And he's not a Muslim extremist.
Right, not a Muslim extremist.
And he was born in Hawaii.
He was born in Hawaii. Give it a break, Jesus Christ.
Colin, are you familiar with Thomas Paine?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
There's a great quote. I don't know how I came across this. I don't know if have you heard this one?
I guarantee he's heard it.
Probably.
Is it from Common Sense?
That was his most famous, and the Federalist Papers.
It says, to argue with a man who has renounced the use and authority of reason, and whose philosophy consists in holding humanity in contempt, is like administering medicine to the dead or endeavoring to convert an atheist by scripture. I love that quote. I
think that's from Common Sense, which he wrote in. I mean, that was he wrote in the mid 1770s, which was basically Thomas Paine died penniless and stuff like that. But during the beginning of the Revolution, post Tea Party, but really before or around Bunker Hill and stuff like that. He was like the writer of the Revolution.
Yeah.
He was the one who was inspiring everyone.
And it's really something. I mean, when you studied it, and I go back. It's great about this technology. A few years back, I bought an app called U.S. Documents, whatever. It was $1, and it's every document germane to democracy, starting with the Magna Carta to Barack Obama's most recent.
Really?
Everything.
Wow.
I mean, Yankee Doodle Dandy is on there. The Constitution, the Constitution of the First Iroquois Nation, the Mayflower Compact, everything that's been germane to our republic, and including the Magna Carta, which of course is what our democracy is based on, right? But fascinating stuff. And when you read George Washington's first inaugural acceptance speech, oh my God, it's unbelievable. I mean, I don't even know what courage is compared to what these guys and women did, and what you do, and we all have a general idea. But when you read what these people wrote, I mean, they really were literally saying, "I'm going to die. I will die for this. Fuck you, people. This is no way to live. We are not, And so at the beginning, when they say we are endowed by our Creator, they don't say God. They say our Creator. With certain inalienable rights,
a lot of these men were deists. They weren't even Christians.
They weren't even Christians. They were deists.
There were Christians, a lot of them, but there were a lot of, but there was a lot of classical liberalism is
right.
deist.
But the fact is that they were like, whatever it is that put us here, we are born with these certain rights, and the King of England nor anybody else can usurp those from us, and we're willing to die everything. And they weren't always the most popular. There were a lot of Tories that were, kind of going, wait. Before you start going down this road, the Brits, they got a lot of money and they're, supporting us, so we pay a little extra tea tax. But luckily, our guys, but it's incredible to hear them. And when you read the whole Patrick Henry speech,
Give me liberty.
yeah, the last bit, of course, is, I know now, of course, others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. I mean, it gives me goosebumps. But the whole thing is like that, where you can see him standing up in Philadelphia going, I don't think you motherfuckers get it. What's your story? Are you willing to give up your plowshares? Are you willing to do this? Because if we're going to do this or we're not. And I don't give a shit what the rest of you say, but if we don't do this, I just assume be dead. And it's impassionate. It's really, and you can find this stuff. So then, at least if you decide to make an argument against certain things or pro certain things, you're relatively, you don't just say, yeah, you're a Bolshevik or you're a fascist.
I feel like, I feel like also just to kind of bring it back to just people making ridiculous statements and ridiculous comments, that is a sign of our times, right? That is a sign of like, I want to be heard. I don't have the time, or I don't have the sort of pulpit or the outlet to be heard. So I'm going to scream the most offensive statement I possibly can into the ethos, and hopefully someone acknowledges me.
Right.
And that's sad.
It is sad. And I don't care whether it's, of course it's disgusting when the Westboro Baptist Church says, well, God hates fags and all that. Of course. They're stupid. They're useless people. And the more that we pay attention to them, the more
power we give them.
Of course. Yeah. They're assholes. We have a country in which it's not against the law to be an asshole. Thank God.
America.
Right? I mean,
that's what we put on.
I mean, that's the perfect thing, though, is that there should be no limitations to those things. Unfortunately, you being offended, for instance, is not really a constitutional issue.
It isn't. And it's not against the law to be offensive. It's against the law to be hurtful and slanderous.
Yeah.
We have those laws on the book. And, when my brother, and I love my brother, I'm so proud of him, for many reasons, not just because he's, was a gay kid growing up in Flint, Michigan. God help him.
That's not popping off? That's not popping off for the homosexual community?
Holy smokes. But when he discusses who he is, the fact that he's gay is about 5th or 6th on the...
What defines him?
Yeah. And I think most people are like that, So anyway, forgive me, but thank you for allowing me to vent my spleen.
I wanted to. I always come away from when we go down this road with everybody. How do we fix it?
Yeah.
We have the spectrum, right, where like even the cable news are against each other and talking shit on each other, and the president or the Congress or whatever. What's the way to fix it, Colin? What's the way to fix it, Rob?
I don't know. I mean, to me, I always thought, it's interesting you brought up the revolutionaries, because there was a lot of disagreement between the revolutionaries, and a lot of them didn't like each other. And a lot of those, even with Jefferson and Adams, that feud went on for decades, and they didn't really repair their feud until the 1820s. So it's a long ways after the Treaty of Paris was signed. And I think that a lot of the things that have to happen is that these guys were deliberate, right? Like the reason that most, like, if you took a list of 25 most important Americans, 20 of them are from that era, because they, not only were we blessed in this country or in the colonies to have a group of very smart men alive at the same time, which was very serendipitous, but that they were passionate and deliberate in the things that they said and the way they felt. To your point, what we don't have today is, and there's no stakes, really. Right. So, like, people don't understand that they were all going to die.
And willingly.
And if the British got, people don't really appreciate that. They really have to think about it. If the British got their hands on them, they were fucking finished. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what Benjamin Franklin said. We will all hang together, or we will all hang separately.
Right.
And that, they were in Philadelphia, in the capital, which was the capital at the time, and the Tories were in New York City. They were only 100 miles away, and they can get captured at any time. They didn't know who to trust. They didn't know, anything, and they won against all odds. And they put their, John Hancock, for instance, who signed his name big enough so that the King of England can see his name or whatever.
That was on purpose.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And he was a huge dickhead, right? But he also owned 1/500th of the wealth of the entire 13 colonies. 1/500th. Yeah. It's a ton of money. Yeah. And he put it all on the line. Yeah. And all these guys were wealthy. There was very few, just normal people. They were people with a lot to lose, and there were people with a lot to gain, to be honest, too. This is a very much, Howard Zinn would argue this, that they were, part of the revolution was to protect their own wealth. And that's an argument. That's an interesting argument. Very interesting historical argument.
Yeah, but I think it is an interesting argument. But I don't think that I think you can still make the argument that it was not the main thrust.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. I love Howard Zinn, but I don't agree with the super very liberal historical revisionist historical thing that the revolutionaries were very selfish. I don't see it that way. Nonetheless, they risked everything.
Yeah.
And today, when you're on Twitter in 2015, and you're like,
you got no skin in the game.
Yeah, Barack Obama's a Bolshevik. Well, what the hell are you going to lose about? Like, what people don't realize is that they're slowly whittling away because we can't get a coherent group together because of the nature of the country, and that is the nature of the democracy that was intentional. The Republic was built to make sure. That's why the Senate's there, to make sure things are glacial,
right?
So that nothing bad happens,
right?
And until we can get in a common ground deal, and like to what Rob was saying, where the other side isn't bad.
Yeah.
The other side just doesn't agree. And in fact, what are the things that we can agree on? Who the hell wants to pay more taxes? That's weird. That's a weird thing. So maybe we can, we all care about our families. We all care about, something like the space program or something like start small and work your way up bigger and put some skin in the game and risk something.
Right.
Because there is no risk like the revolutionaries had. There is no risk like Abraham Lincoln or FDR. That's why they're great. That's why there are no great men today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
And, George Bush wasn't a great man. Barack Obama is not a great man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, who's going to be the next great man or woman? That's going to come up and say, enough already.
Right.
With the vitriol, like, the empire is falling apart.
Well, that's well said. Here. I mean, that was beautiful.
Sounds like Colin's a great man.
No, you should. Well, that's what would be, and part of it is because of this ad hominem vitriol. Because I think I brought her up once before, but Condoleezza Rice is a brilliant woman. She's a courageous woman. She's a woman who knows what it's like to have zero. She grew up in the Jim Crow South. Her mother, washed floors, and now she's like a concert pianist and a Stanford. But why would anybody, once you've been down that road, if let's say she was interested in running, or being involved, and she knew that she was going to be subjected to she would go, and if I were your age and I was driven and all this, there'd be a part of me, if I were married, do I really want to have somebody pulling that with me and drag my kids through the mud and all of that because their father's a fascist or their father's a Bolshevik? Oh my God! So that's part of what happens, is because and it does take a lot of money to run, and you can say, well, I've already got $100 million. Do I really, 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 really want to be president?
Do I need that?
I may be the right guy. Screw it. I'm going to live in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would subject themselves to it either. I mean,
Colin, is Mitt Romney coming back? Is he going to run for a third?
And I.
How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with him. I mean, let's be honest, and I'm gonna be really honest. And this is my opinion. Mitt Romney was completely robbed of that election in 2012, and it was because of a biased media. And I'll say that over and over and over and over again. They did everything they possibly could to sandbag him. What's the evidence of that? After the first debate, when he destroyed Obama, everyone was surprised that he was a person and not the caricature that they made for a year in the mainstream media or whatever. Right. So I'm interested to see what, like, he should, all things being equal, he should have won, and he should have won easily. But because of the narrative, and I'm not saying that because the same thing happened to John Kerry, so it is not a partisan Republican thing. Like, they swift-boated their shit out of him in 2004, and he lost.
Right.
And obviously the courts stole Gore's election in 2000. So, it's not a partisan thing because I'm a Republican. I feel that way. I objectively, as a student of politics and history, that was clear as the day is long. But I'm a Chris Christie guy personally. Okay. And
you love Bridges.
I love Bridges. I'm a Northeast Republican, and so is he. I'm a Rockefeller Republican. I'm an old school Republican, and I like someone like that. Now he's pro-life and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. I actually respect that position very much, but I'm pro-choice, and that's fine because again, that's not the issue that matters to me.
I'm not a one-issue guy.
No.
And you can have people argue Roe v. Wade forever, and look what's going to happen if Mitt Romney goes in. Roe v. Wade. Oh, for God's sake! Are you kidding me?
He's not a dictator.
It's a constitutional amendment. There's no fucking way Mitt's going to go. He can't via presidential fiat or via presidential with a SWIFT. He can't undo the Constitution.
Just say that's over with.
If the worst that happens, if somebody becomes a states' rights issue or whatever, please don't let that be the reason you don't like somebody.
Right.
But so many people are so myopic about this crazy stuff, and they don't know how an amendment works or how the Constitution works. And you don't have to be a constitutional scholar to know how it works. That's what's so crazy, is that Colin's point is that you don't have to go to school for the next 5 years to figure out how to make your case. Just don't be an idiot.
Right.
You know,
Just try
That's
to-
how we
it's
solve
harder
it.
than it
Don't be an
seems.
idiot.
Yeah, just,
Man.
just
Well,
try
that-
to speak from the most intelligent standpoint possible.
Right.
Well, that's the thing.
Informed.
That's why there are fewer. You know, there are so few amendments, 10 of which were passed right away. So
Yeah.
it's not. It's very hard to pass.
very
amendments.
hard to pass one,
And you know,
and
not-
to undo one.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We did undo a couple, and it's specifically prohibition, I guess. But it's like, to me. So to answer your question, Greg, it's simple. Like, put some skin in the game. Try to figure out a solution to certain problems. Tackle things one at a time, I think, too. But stop with the vitriol and the hatred, because a lot of people out there. I appreciate the internet can be a tough place for a lot of people. I don't think that in this particular way people appreciate how difficult it is for someone like me,
Oh,
because
man.
I don't toe the line. I am in a very liberal city and a very liberal industry. And I don't care.
Yeah,
I really don't give
You're
a shit.
Courageous man.
It's
difficult.
And I've gotten where I've gotten not caring. I know I have 92,000 Twitter followers. I'm very thankful for that, right?
Fucking number dropper over here.
No, but listen, but
Stat
Oh,
Republican.
I'm just fucking. Sorry.
but when Mitt Romney was running and I was posting about how I like Mitt Romney and I really
Oh.
enjoyed him, whatever, I lost thousands and thousands
Yeah.
and thousands of followers, and it didn't stop me because I don't care.
Right.
And
Gotta be you.
So to me, it's we have to figure it out. Like, Twitter can be an embarrassing place, and the internet can be an embarrassing place. There are so many Twitter feeds I go to just to look at to see how embarrassing it got.
Oh,
because
Jesus.
of these people that just shout and yell, and it can be any people in the industry, writers, politicians, whatever, that have no interest in dialogue or discourse, not understanding that because of the split 50-50 split, which is not going anywhere in this country between
Right.
Republican and Democrat, with a very small middle ground that sways every election.
Right.
That it's never going to change. There's always going to be 40 or 45% Republican and 40-45% Democrat. So learn how to work together.
Yeah.
Who passed the highway bill? A Republican. That would never happen today when Eisenhower did that. That
Who
is
passed
a
the
huge.
Voting Rights Act of 1964?
Yeah, I mean, all that kind of stuff was, in '64 when Johnson was, president. There was all these kinds of things, working with a Republican Congress in many respects, and you can go down that stupid rabbit hole that people want to go down. It's like, oh, you're a Republican, blah blah blah. You mean, but you're a Democrat, the party of the slave owners, right? Like I could.
That's why they call them Dixiecrats.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can go down
George
that road.
Wallace. Oh my God, come on.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
The parties have
Here and
changed.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
No, I totally
I
understand
can
what
win
you're
that. I can win that fight,
Every
especially with
time.
my historical knowledge, 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go down that road because it's useless.
It's useless. It's pointless. But that's the thing, is that you can back up your argument, and then it just doesn't become useless prattle. You have a cogent, thoughtful discussion to the extent the other person wants to have one. That kind of. Oh, God bless you, man. It's just.
Next show we're launching is political talk.
God
with
bless
Colin
him.
Rob.
God bless an atheist.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, but no, that's very impressive, and thank you for letting me. Thank you for if you're still with us after
are.
that.
No,
thank
they're
you
there.
for-
They're-
Oh,
they
they know
love
that
it.
that's a topic after
Oh,
all.
don't worry.
Yeah.
It's well documented here.
Well,
See,
it is. I'm passionate.
We appreciate that.
No,
I
I'm
feel like
passionate about
Greg,
that.
Sort of
Thank you.
last thoughts on this to answer your question of how do we fix it. We
Yeah.
are fixing it right now because we are.
Us?
I think, well, probably maybe not me and Tim, but you three are definitely holding up a lot of the weight of that. But I think a large part of it, like we talked about last week with, was it last week or
Felicia.
when we had Felicia, when we talked about freedom of speech and we said, the only way to fix these things is to keep fighting the good fight, but also put out the right perspective
Right.
and try to get people who are your audience or your fans or
Right.
people that want to help support you engendered with that perspective.
Great idea, and that's
You know,
that's,
and that's all
exactly
you can really
what,
do.
That's what I love to do. When I do a lot of personal appearances. I was on the road 2 months and change last year, and starting again this week, I'm going to be doing it again. And every now and then, somebody will ask a question like that. That's why this is heaven for me, because when
Our spare bedroom?
these are Rob's angels.
That's hot.
And I'm in San Francisco. Anyway, but it's great. So somebody will occasionally ask you, what are you about politics? Well, do you really want to know? Because I lean this way, Republican sort of, and this way, socially liberal and Democrat, blah blah blah. If you want to, but you can't really, I'm really interested in facts and making my own decisions based on thought. Not interested in fighting. So if you want to take anything away, I'm glad that you love my characters, and please do. But do me a favor, read the Constitution. Just read it. You don't have to be a student. Just start that way, or read the Federalist Papers, or read,
definitely read the Federalist Papers.
Yeah. So what is that? Well, look, you don't need to know exactly how many congressmen there are. Just read these documents and give yourself a little bit of knowledge. And on whatever side you want to be in, make an argument from a thoughtful, learned place, not from a place of going, well, my dad said all them people, this guy wears a earring, make a goddamn hippie, faggot, pinko, goddamn. That's obnoxious. That's awful.
Yeah.
And there are people who the fact is that when my son said, "Hey, I'm dating this girl. I really like her. I met her at USC. Blah blah blah." Then he brought her home to visit us. And you know what I was proudest of is the fact that when he brought Basola, opened the door, we had no idea that Basola was an African American. Well, no, not an African. She was born in Nigeria. The beautiful thing is that it never occurred to my son that he had to pave the way.
Say that, yeah.
Right.
How great is that? I grew up in Flint, Michigan, which is now under the control of the feds, right? Haven't been run by the Democrats for 30 years. Like Detroit. Anyway, but forgive me. Nonetheless, if that had been my situation, even though my parents were pretty cool, I would have had to say, just
Yeah,
so
I
you
think
know.
so.
Heads
And
up,
that's
Mom
the
and
same
Dad.
with me is like, I mean, I come from a very liberal Italian background, but some of my relatives are Jersey. I don't know. There is a little bit of that baked in sort of
Yeah.
racism that I would have thought, okay, I have to prepare my family.
Oh my
for
God!
this.
And she's a lovely woman, and it never occurred to my son whether she was black, brown, green, orange, white, clear.
Right.
He judged her on the content of her character.
Yeah.
Period.
And I feel like
That is awesome. I mean, that's crazy. I
Right?
feel like my generation, and of course, it's not solved, and I would never say it's solved, but like it would never cross my mind to tell my
Isn't
mom.
that great, though?
either.
How
Yeah, that's
wonderful
great.
is that we're in a place where we can see our children. You guys are all old enough to be my kids. And how great that we can see somebody. And I don't think it's just being in San Francisco. I think there are a lot of people who would say, I mean, sure, there are pockets, and there's always going to, we get that. What about, I get that. I get that there are rednecks. I get that there are crazy, knuckleheads on both sides of the issue. But, the times, as Bob Dylan says, are a-changing. And it's wonderful that you fall in love with somebody not based on what your parents are going to say or
supposed to
what
love, what you're
society is
supposed to
going to
love, yeah.
say. Yeah, there are still issues where they go, my God, she was going to Sam Houston University. When my son and she would go out to dinner in Houston, he said, God, we got some crazy looks. And he said, but I love this woman.
Yeah.
And my parents are cool. I'm cool. That's all that, how great is that, right?
That's dope.
So anyway, again, my spleen is vented. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hope I didn't get any on you.
Berto's all right.
But we can use that kind of spleen around here.
Nick,
Yes.
what's your topic?
My topic, of course, comes from our wonderful community of people who study the facts and form opinions.
Yes.
Very smart opinions, sometimes wacky opinions. This is kind of riffing off that topic of very important issues that the world faces. Colin's already laughing because I'm completely full of shit. Keep calm, Klingon.
He got an earring. Don't listen to him.
Keep calm,
Klingon.
Klingon.
Keep calm,
That's
Klingon
a great name.
says, topic for the Gob Show. Remember, if you have topics, please tweet them at me, Nick_Scarpino on Twitter. If you could domesticate any animal, what would it be? Now, I'm assuming we're talking about animals that aren't already domesticated.
I got one. Nicki Minaj.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think you can physically. I don't
No.
think that there's any world.
Her and Kesha were meant to run free.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
need to just own it.
Oh, I love that.
And Aaron
Although
Carter.
she does use a pee-pee pad, so that's good. Yeah.
Does she use a pee-pee pad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know Nikki. No, I don't. I'm just
I was like, wow.
You never will anymore. You're shooting that one.
Like, here's the thing. No one would ever call you out on it. Between that, you need to start telling people you know Nikki and Miley.
Wait,
Like,
would that be it?
like,
you
don't-
let's be clear. You dig Miley, right?
everyone digs Miley.
Okay.
I mean,
the Wrecking Ball video. Everybody's Doug Miley.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
Since I saw all the tattoos, I was like, I get it.
I
You
get
can't
it.
just see a part of the painting. You have to see the
Yeah, that's
entire
right.
canvas.
Hey, the Mona Lisa,
It's very true. Like, if you just saw, like, one of her, eyes, I guess it's a good eye, but then you
And she's
stand
got
back and
well,
you're like, I want to put my
it's
penis in
the
that.
pierced tongue too. That
It's so
So let's
good.
just hold on. Let's unpack
Nope,
that.
just don't even unpack it. Just keep
All right,
on
keep
trucking.
going.
Just keep going.
I-
Greg, what about you?
Forever, I think since high school, I've always said, if you want to make $1 billion, figure out a way to crossbreed maybe a cat, but I think even like a gerbil with a koala. And if you can get...
Hold on.
I'm talking about crossbreeding.
how did you go from a cat to a gerbil and a koala?
I'm saying I want a koala this big.
A little koala?
A little koala that just chilled out and climbed around and stuff and ate eucalyptus, that'd be dope. But the problem is that koalas are like big. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want a koala that
All right.
big just shitting all over the
So,
house.
I've heard
No, you want a little one
I'm not
shitting all over
informed
the house.
on koalas.
Yeah.
But I've heard the koalas are like extremely scary
Yeah, they're vicious.
and very
They're
violent.
not vicious.
No,
They have
vicious.
huge claws, don't they?
Vicious.
Because they climb.
No, they're not. No, yeah, they do have big claws
They do
because
eat
they climb.
eucalyptus because they get stoned on
It's
it.
They're
something,
vicious.
It's something like 93% have chlamydia because there's, why would you stop koalas from having sex and getting chlamydia?
My last girlfriend's first name was Chlamydia. Is that a problem?
Get them down to the size of that though, and then if you're crossbreeding them with a cat, they would know how to use the litter box, and then
You don't need to crossbreed something to teach it how to use a litter box.
Portillo doesn't know.
Why are you into crossbreeding? This wasn't even the question.
Jurassic
I'm
Park
saying
style
I
genetics.
don't want a full-size koala. I don't want a full-size koala. I want a
Koala.
Yeah, even like Portillo's a good size for being a dog,
Hey.
but like
Yeah, he's cute.
this would be too big for a koala. I feel
No.
because koalas like lumber around like this, and I don't want this lumbering at me.
Yeah. Would you like to hear the voice of a little koala? Yeah, he's like this. He's got Greg. Come here. I want to shit on the floor.
Let him shit on the floor, Greg.
I'm gonna find out if they're mean or not.
Let's
I'm
go
very
outside.
Mean. They're very mean.
I'm
They
very
have-
mean, Greg.
they're
I'm going
very
to
much
bite your
known-
face off. Here, come here. Greg, it's me. I'm a little koala. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. That's it for you, Greg.
Thank you.
Well, look at me. I just peed on your bed.
Tim,
Yeah.
what would you domesticate if you could domesticate any animal?
I mean, my go-to answer when it comes to a lot of animal things is always the flying squirrel. And
Yeah.
I feel like they
That
already
already-
are
I
domesticated.
don't
You
think
got-
you can though.
Sugar
No.
gliders. Sugar
Sugar gliders.
gliders
Yeah,
are
yeah.
similar. Here we go.
Okay.
But like,
I'm talking about a wild animal that you'd have to tame. Like, I'll throw some options out there for you.
Yeah.
An elephant,
No.
a
But
rhinoceros.
aren't
Elephants are domesticated.
Yeah.
I guess they are. Okay, how
And
about this?
monkeys are. Like,
A
monkeys
lion.
are amazing.
How about a lion?
I mean, well,
Your whole pad would be a
Lions are
pee-pee pad
pretty
with
big.
that.
Like, and you could name him Simba, and he
Yeah,
would just
I
be
mean, that'd be
Simba, and he
awesome.
would be hanging out with you the
can I
whole time.
ride him? Can you ride a lion?
If you
imagine
can domesticate
riding a lion.
Oh my god!
No
I
one would
always
mess
do.
with
I
you.
always imagine riding a lion. I was doing it when we were fucking
Go to
talking
a
about
drive-thru
politics.
on a lion.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
Just like Del Taco, like yes, you forgot my chili cheese fries.
Yeah.
Simba, attack! Jeez.
That's you got a hair trigger.
Oh yeah, I'm not fucking around with Simba. No one can take me. It's like you gotta get a tank to take Simba down.
Yeah.
That's what I'm putting out there.
Nice.
You want-
Sharks?
Sharks? Oh, shark.
No,
would be
I don't want a
dope.
shark though.
You want a domesticated shark.
Domesticated shark.
You have a lot
Yeah.
of space.
Why does it even matter? You put it in the bathtub with you? Just put a real shark in a tank. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I take it back on the shark. That won't be that fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard.
I don't know. For me, like what came to mind immediately, and I don't know why, I'm just gonna go with it. Is the penguin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is
I just
a
feel
good
like it
one.
would be fun to
Damn.
have a penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just hang out. He's just
Yeah.
chilling.
I've told you this
You know,
story
chilling.
before.
walking around.
I think I've told you this story before.
I didn't mean that, by the way. Chilling. Sorry.
I like
That's
that.
that's a good pun.
See what you did
Just
there.
cooling off.
Yeah.
Nice.
I went to
Nice.
I went to SeaWorld with an ex-girlfriend of mine. I think it was like right after college, or right after high school, and we got to go on the ice and pet meet the penguins. Did I ever tell you this?
No.
I think I swear I've told this. I'll tell it again. We go to the penguin exhibit, and I was like, I just want to see a penguin. I just want to see a penguin. All I want to see is penguins. I don't know why.
Obviously,
I'm like
it's a zoo.
fixated on penguins, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, screw the killer whales, whatever.
I have, and let me tell you something. They don't like it.
No.
No.
Do they? I mean,
You got to get dinner and a
you
movie, maybe.
must be pretty big
Yeah,
to
oh, yeah. Well,
make an impact on a killer whale.
Listen, I'm hung like a light switch, but once you get them drunk, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, they don't remember it. You Bill Cosby did.
Hey, Shamu, come here. I want to show you something I'm pretty damn proud of. Jump through this hoop, baby.
Damn.
Go ahead.
Yahoo Answers says koalas are totally cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
does
Yahoo
Yahoo
totally-
Answers
The
says
Wikipedia
koalas are
page was
totally
really
cool.
hard to find any information because it just doesn't get boiled
About
it
the
down.
temperament of the
Hey, I
koala.
kind of want
Koalas
a
are
t-shirt.
not mean animals. They sleep a lot and spend the rest of the time eating eucalyptus leaves.
Yeah, they do. I was in Australia
No,
doing a
that's
show, and they
bullshit.
had
They have a
koalas.
tendency
They
to
smell
pee,
like eucalyptus.
They have a tendency to pee on you deliberately.
Right. Well, who?
Deliberately.
Guilty.
That's just funny though.
I mean, come on.
So does
You know.
Portillo.
Stesha says, no way, koalas are very tame and peaceful animals.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
well, the
especially-
internet said it, so.
Well, and they're
Can we
great
make a
on
shirt
toast.
that says Yahoo Answers says koalas are pretty cool?
Yeah, can we do that?
Yes, we can do whatever we want. We can
Yeah.
make shirts.
This is America.
America.
You can do whatever you want.
So your answer is the penguin. That's a
Just
good
run it
answer.
by
That's
Colin.
that is a great,
Great
answer.
answer.
Yeah,
I didn't
penguins.
first jump to dinosaurs, but I guess I'm dumb just like Greg and don't listen to the question and just come make up shit. Like
You can do a dinosaur.
Oh, I'm gonna
Well, you have to-
crossbreed things.
I'm saying the perfect. I just fine. Domesticate a regular koala, everybody,
all
and
we
have
want.
it be fucking walking.
Yeah, I mean, it was just
That's
interesting
like
that
having
you-
a 4-year-old walking around all the time. No, thank you.
You're very passionate.
That was
about
it.
I
That was
fucking-
clear.
I don't-
No,
That'd be cool.
thank you.
I still want
Meerkat,
more
meerkat.
information.
You can go with
Meerkats
meerkat.
look dope.
Meerkats are dope, and here's why. Because you could keep it like behind you,
Yeah.
and whenever something interesting happened, he could like pop up, like, pop out, you know, or like a prairie dog. Like a prairie dog
Hey,
just
what are
pipe
you
up.
doing? Yeah. What's up? What's that? Who's there? Come here. Oh, I love those. Yeah. No, answer the door. Hey, hello. It's me, the koala.
The whole time.
Yeah.
And Tim would love that.
I would
he would
love
love
that.
If it made
That
that
sounds-
voice, we'd
yeah.
be like, Tim, shut that fucking thing
I
up.
wouldn't
And
be
you'd be
able
like,
to.
I can't do it. He's
Yeah.
domesticated, but I
Yeah.
don't own him.
Oh man,
I
reminds
just-
me of someone I know.
I just like that two of the five of us. Greg immediately jumped to crossbreeding something. I don't know why.
Because I want it smaller.
And then Tim went to an animal, a species that's been extinct for hundreds of millions of years.
Good.
So we need to you can. Well, like you said, the dinosaur is possible. You just have to.
You gotta
get the
Jurassic Park it.
genetic makeup of them and create them. Yeah, exactly. So
I want a little dinosaur too.
Like a little compy.
Yeah, I want to
Just eat
crossbreed
shit.
it with a cat apparently to make a small one because that's how you get small animals.
You guys,
anytime you want something mminiaturized, you crossbreed it with a cat.
It's how you
Watch-
get smaller
have you
flowers,
guys-
smaller trees.
have you ever seen The Island of Dr. Moreau?
Yeah.
That's a great show.
Yeah.
This is very appropriate for this. Take a couple of Vicodin, some of that Maker's Mark.
Just get in there.
Knock off. Have some fun.
Off you go, baby.
Start flirting with whales.
Yeah.
I have two. My first instinct was to go with the obvious, which is cougar. Right? Just to have a badass cougar with you all the time.
There are
cat.
plenty of them in L.A. Oh, you mean the animal? I see.
There's
Yeah.
a couple of them in the marina up here too.
Who would dig you, baby? Yeah.
But then I watched a documentary on a beast that is both majestic and cunning and dangerous. It's called the honey badger.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with this beast?
Oh, he doesn't
Oh,
give
I
a
know.
fuck.
Honey. Yeah, we know honey.
Now we got famous for that that big viral video.
That
that went
interview?
around.
Were you about to say the
interview?
interview?
The interview with the honey badger.
He got,
Was he on Leto?
he got famous for that viral
Scott
video that went
Pelley
around.
interview?
Honey badger don't care. Honey
Yeah.
badger, and it's true. If you watch anything about the honey badger, there's a great documentary on Netflix called The Honey Badger, aptly named. They are ingenious little assholes. They can escape anything. They can get to anything. They are incredibly intelligent. So I feel like if I could domesticate that, I could actually teach him to like rob banks or do crazy shit for me. And like, how am I gonna go? No one's gonna put me in jail if my honey badger robbed a bank. I'm like, I can train him to do that, or can I?
They'd put him down though.
I mean, I'll just get another one.
Oh, okay.
Honey badgers, you can't take
Can't
down
say-
a honey
Dude,
badger.
the honey badger literally has evolved to
Have
the
you played
place
Far Cry 4?
I've played Far Cry 4 and I've been killed by
Where-
many honey badgers.
it will take on beasts like 18 times its size.
No
It'll take on
kidding.
lions. It'll take on
Really?
And it goes crazy on them and goes like straight for the balls. Like it literally will like
Again,
like,
guilty.
They have footage of these things and they lose more often than not, but they will take on the lions. And they will also take on cobras. They'll take on
Now,
take
are
on
they
these.
are they indigenous to Africa? Or?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Oh no. We'll have to fact check that. They have footage of them taking on like cobras and these deadly snakes, and the snake will bite them. They'll kill it, and then the venom. Their bodies have evolved to a place where the venom just
Unbelievable.
puts them to sleep.
Yeah.
And then they literally you'll see them like kill the thing and then go. And then like 3 hours later they just pop up like what that was a fucking crazy little journey I went on just now.
Animals will take acid. Whoa.
Yeah. So I would go honey badger. I
Cool.
think that's awesome.
Looks like you're looking at like Africa,
I think they were in Australia when they.
India,
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
where that's where they're getting. That's
forget where the
that's their
documentary was shot.
distribution. I bet it was shot in Africa.
Probably Africa.
All right.
Go with my guess.
So koala wins. Koala crossbreed.
I'm
Oh,
good.
that wasn't a
With
competition.
koala with a Wolverine, maybe, because I love Wolverines. They're pretty gnarly critters.
Out of all of these, I'd want to go over to Rob's house because he's got Miley Cyrus and Nicki Minaj
Yeah.
in the cage. So
That's right.
No, he doesn't have Miley Cyrus. He has. Oh no.
But wait, you'll have a Wolverine because of Michigan.
Yeah, well, because I went to Michigan for about an hour and a half before I decided to be in the moving picture business. There are. I don't think there really are any Wolverines unless they're way up north in the Upper Peninsula.
In the peninsula, yeah.
Yeah, but they're intense critters.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
tough.
So you would actually go with you would try to.
I would. Yeah, I mean they're badass critters, man.
Would you name him Logan? Because you'd have to name him.
I would
Logan.
name him Bo Schembechler. You remember? You don't remember? See, you guys, Bo for Michigan fans, I would name him Bo because Bo Schembechler was the coach of Michigan when they were really. They don't. Well, now we've got.
You got Harbaugh now.
Jimmy Harbaugh is back, so we'll see if that helps. But yeah, Wolverines are gnarly ass critters.
They're cool looking.
Yeah, they're cool.
I wouldn't
They
want
make
to
awesome comic book
domesticate
characters.
anything.
Yeah.
The question is like if you could domesticate. I don't want to be like trying to calm down a Wolverine.
Yeah.
You won't go get me no be calming down no Wolverine. Don't you ask me to calm down no Wolverine.
You're saying it because I think you equate domesticating something with like enslaving it.
You got to break it. No, you got to
You have
break
to
it. It's like a horse. It's like a wild horse.
Yeah,
You
but I
gotta break
mean, let's say we're not going to do that. Let's say we'll do it like millions of years of evolution of domesticated
that's
the
okay.
canine,
Sure.
right? Where it's like it started off first. You saw that great episode of
Yeah,
Cosmos,
Cosmos, yeah.
where they talk about how wild wolves turned into throughout many years of sort of being around human beings. They eventually got more and more bold and got closer and closer and closer, and then formed that
Until they
bond, and
became
then
Attila.
eventually.
Thank God that you were domesticated,
Yeah.
you beast.
And it worked out like this.
Yeah,
But I was gonna say
now we'll get
the
them.
original domesticated dogs were used were kept around by the humans to ward off other bigger beasts, whereas Portillo is kept around by the humans so that when people come in, he can pee on the ground.
He wards off people who ring the buzzer too.
Yeah, he does.
He lets people know if they're going to start shit.
Puffs up his little chest and his little tail starts flattering and he just barks and then he runs away. It's really good.
runs right
Really
See, if you had the
effective.
koala, it'd be better because then you would deliberately pee on people, and that would scare them.
The koala could just arc it out the window and hit you in the face when you're downstairs.
The koala isn't Cheetos. It doesn't have these
No,
orangutan-like
Cheetos.
abilities.
I would have said Cheetos, but let's be honest. No one can own Cheetos. No one can domesticate Cheetos. All you can do is listen and follow Cheetos.
Cheetos are our fake orangutan. in case
Oh,
you
okay,
could-
got it.
There's a debate for the
I was
president.
really starting to go, man, these dudes have been drinking the bong water.
We've separated into two camps for the upcoming election.
Oh.
There's the ticket of Moriarty Miller or Scarpino's Gettys.
Got
They're the party.
I'm not a plural.
Their whole platform
It's
is
just
partying
Scarpino.
with his orangutan named Cheetos. Colin
gonna be
and
our
I want
secretary of
social
state.
reforms. We want to
No,
be
he wants
conservative
to
with our
decrease
money.
taxes. We want to just make sure that the country has the appropriate amount of love.
Love
And that
and
is to
friendship.
say, there is no appropriate amount of love.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
The more love you can have, the better. And Cheetos embodies that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheetos is a free spirit. I don't know where the hell he is most
Does
of
he,
the time.
does he eat his own poop?
He eats whatever
It's
he
up
wants
to
to
him,
eat.
you know?
Okay. He pops up on Twitter every once in a while, sometimes peeing into his own mouth. I'm not going to judge.
Well, again, don't knock it.
Make your vote heard at kindoffunny.com/store. Buy
Hello,
one of
there.
these shirts.
Yeah,
Buy
there's
the
a lot
shirt.
of shit goes on in the water tower that you don't want to know.
Fun topic. Thanks, community.
Thanks,
Yeah.
community.
Beautiful.
All right, final topic before we let Rob Paulsen get back to being a mega huge celebrity
Oh,
star.
bless your heart, man.
And, of course, doing Talking Tunes. Download it today.
Yes, and may I also, if you don't mind, a shameless plug.
goddamn it,
What
Rob
we're up here doing, I know, forgive me, but what we're up here doing is an evening of Animaniacs music at Sketchfest tomorrow afternoon, I should say. But for those of you who would like to go to robpaulsenlive.com, or you can follow me at Yakko Pinky, which is my Twitter handle. But there's a great promo. We are now taking the Animaniacs music live to orchestras around North America. So go to robpaulsenlive.com and you can look at the great promo we did with the Colorado Symphony a few months back. And we're now booking shows with different symphonies around the country. So, you know, if you're interested,
And it's a fantastic show. You
It's
go there,
really-
you perform the songs from
all
Animaniacs.
the songs,
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica,
Peru, and all those songs. Look at you. And all the songs, Randy Rogel
Person.
wrote them, and it's myself, Tress McNeil, who is Dot, and Yakko Warner, Jess Harnell, and we all do it live with a big screen, so the cartoons are, and then the orchestras play the music, and we perform them live. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's so cool.
Take a look at it and tell your local orchestras. Thank you for letting me do that plug. Now,
Anytime, please. That's what you're here for. We're here to get you these plugs. Your plugging here ties into my question.
Oh, good.
Or my topic, I assume. I went down to LA a few weeks ago. Shot this show that'll be up on the YouTubes eventually called Nerd Court. It's a Gary Whitta production. I'm allowed to talk about it because he talked about it. So there. Now it's all fine. I get in the car at the airport. The PA picks me up. We're driving there, and she's like, I do all this stuff. I'm not familiar with your body of work. What do you do? I'm like, I did these shows. I do this. I'm an internet celebrity. That's the easiest way to say it. I'm an internet personality, internet
Greg,
celebrity.
We're internet superstars.
We weren't at the time though. We didn't have the 100,000 fans
superstars.
yet.
My God, how many S's in superstars? I love
As
that.
many as you want.
Yes.
So I
hello.
say I'm an internet personality, and she goes, "Oh, okay." And then, so what does that look like in 5 years?
Ouch.
And I was like, "What?"
You're like,
What
why
an
would you
interesting-
start with that
Yeah,
comment?
what an
Well, no, we had been
comment.
talking. We had been talking.
You, just
I had
get, you get in the car. What do you
explained.
do? What the fuck are you gonna be in 5 years? What are you doing with
It
your
wasn't.
life? You're like,
But it was a great point
It's a
of
good
like
point,
when
yeah.
we're talking about what we do, and like at the time when I was hosting, and like Kind of Funny hadn't started yet.
Right.
There was all these different things
Okay,
and
okay.
things in motion. So it's just a host of like. I want to know for you in particular how what you're talking about. It was 28. You got the GI Joe role.
Yeah.
Did you think when you were doing that was now life and that's what you're going to do?
No, at that time, as I said earlier, I came out, the ostensible reason I came out was to be a singer and an actor. I was a singer first who became an actor, did a lot of stage work. So I presumed that I would do, I just like to work, man. And I still have, and you know what? It's about passion. I love to work. I've been rich and I've been poor, and rich is better, but I don't make money unless I'm passionate about what I do. The money takes care of itself, and I've tried putting the money first and it doesn't happen. But anyway, I just wanted to work. I never really thought that it would be my total ball of wax career-wise until I started really, again, working with all these great actors who were not limited by their sort of visage.
Physical appearance,
Yeah. And I thought, man, this is cool. And you can not only do great stuff, but then when I started to get a chance to sing in all these shows, that's when it really started to take off. Because a lot of folks, you come to find out a lot of folks can do character voices or dialects, but they can't always sing in the character voices or their dialects. And that really is the most fun for me. Doing this Animaniacs live stuff, it is an incredible labor of love, and the audience just eats it up. And when you hear these songs played, with these incredible lyrics that Randy writes, and it's a great big universe and really, really puny. We're just tiny little specks about the size of Mickey Rooney. You might think that you're essential. Try inconsequential. It's a big universe, and you're not. And it's just, but it's fantastic, and it never stops, So I didn't know that would be the way it's gone. It's worked out great because now it's starting to come full circle.
Yeah.
Now I'm back on stage and loving it.
And so this is my next question then. I mean, for us, like, we've launched Kind of Funny.
Yeah.
What's 5 years look like?
And by the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a big deal for you guys.
Yeah,
man.
no, yeah. Well, you quit our
It's
jobs.
really
Left
cool.
the sure thing to
Hey,
go
man,
be crazy.
you know why? Because they got skin in the game.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
have
these
skin in the
guys
game?
did. These guys are a perfect living example of what Colin was talking about. And trust me, there's plenty of politics involved in show business, right? Internet or traditional media. These guys have skin in the game. These guys are rugged individualists trying to make it. I so appreciate that. That's so great. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we've seen our lives change, right? As we're doing YouTube, and then now we'll do Patreon. Well, now this is going really well. We'll do this. It's all about that evolution, I guess. And this, I think, for me, that's why it's hard to say in 5 years what everything looks like, because it changes so much.
So fast.
But like when you started doing your podcast, right? When you started doing the Animaniacs Live, I mean, were those hard sells for you? Like, did you feel like, well, I'm a voice actor, this is what I do.
No,
why would I go do
well,
that?
the podcast, again, talk about passion. I mean, you guys, nobody knows when you start to take this step whether you're going to be able to pay the rent or not. You take your chances, and again, that's what I also love about this. There are no guarantees. When people say, well, this isn't fair, that's fair, you know what? No shit. Life isn't fair. So to me, to try to make it fair, either by government edict or by some other, it's sort of anathema to the way people are, right? It in my view, it sort of corrupts drive and passion when you try to make, that doesn't mean I don't want people to survive. I want everybody to struggle. Yeah. I mean, to survive and to do well based on their own struggles or whatever. Some people are born with a silver spoon. That's life. I don't hate somebody because they're richer than I am. Anyway. So the point is that I had a kind of an epiphany about 5 years ago. I had a real slow period in my career.
Yeah.
But again, everything's relative, and I learned a really valuable lesson. This was in my early 50s. I was, found myself bitching about having a slow month, and I would, actors would say, "Cry me a fucking river." I don't work
I've had a slow 5 years.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, you know what? You're right. You got if it's slow for you and you don't like the way it's going, hey, dude, I'm all about personal responsibility. I don't want anybody to give it to me. So I felt sorry for myself for 37 seconds and said, you better fix it. If you don't like the way it's going, this ain't about anybody helping you. This is about you doing it.
Right.
Okay. So I said, wow, on my little cell phone here, these things called podcasts, I don't think you have to be an MIT grad to do it. But
No, you do not.
Clearly not. Actually, these guys all, they drew Sparky on a matchbook cover. That's about as far as I got. But I knew, based on the personal appearances I was doing, just that we were talking about earlier, is that there are millions of people who like the work just that I did. If I throw in Mark Hamill, who, everybody knows him as Luke, but he was the Joker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but you throw all that into the mix, and on my phone is everybody. Dan Castellaneta, who's Homer, Nancy Cartwright is Bart, Mark.
Yeah, we'd love to borrow that phone.
Yeah, no problem.
Leave
But
it
all
here
these,
unlocked for
all
us.
these, Maurice LaMarche, Billy West, John DiMaggio, Tress McNeil, they're all my friends. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just do a podcast. Well, lo and behold, it was people dug it, So it was done. Necessity totally is the mother of invention. There was a little bit of desperation. I got over my desperation and said, look, you're going to continue to work. You're having a slow period. So you've talked about wanting to do all these live gigs and wanting to do other things to further your visibility. Guess what, dude? However you
Now's the time.
this is the universe telling you.
Yeah.
However you want to couch it, however metaphysical or not, you asked for it. It may not come exactly in the way that you expected, but just like love, it comes from unexpected places. And so you go, hey, guess what? This is your opportunity. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
And I luckily had, the presence of mind to start doing it. And again, because it was a passionate labor of love and I had skin in the game, it starts to work.
Yeah.
And so then I meet people like you and one thing leads to another.
Sorry
and
about that.
And then you're in my bedroom.
in your own bedroom. No, so I'm very passionate about it, and the thing is that I'm doing this really great project with David Copperfield in Vegas, and we're the same.
The
age.
David Copperfield.
I want to be able to say that one day. I'm doing this awesome
Here's a
project with
great
David
example of
Copperfield
what we're
in
talking
Vegas,
about.
in
though.
Vegas.
This is great though, and this is really important, I think, especially for young folks who are really, you guys are working hard, and you're doing your own gig, and people are watching. We're the same age, David Copperfield, right? That guy hasn't needed a dime for 30
He
years.
used to own his own island, right?
Oh yeah, it's
He's, like,
huge.
super
And
rich.
I was just there Wednesday.
At his
working.
island?
No, not
Vegas.
there. In Vegas.
Dope.
But he's got this animatronic alien in his show. It's a really cool illusion. It's a 20-minute illusion, and I'm the voice of this alien. So I go and we re-record, tweak it. So I was there a couple days ago. Anyway, this is a great example of what I'm talking about passion and drive. He's David frickin' Copperfield.
Yeah.
He's got all the money he'll ever need. But it's not that. He does 15 shows a week at the MGM. 15, right? 3 shows on Saturday, 2 Monday through Friday and Sunday. Okay. And he's 58, same age as me, but he is driven to say, hey, Rob, how can you help me with this next illusion? This is going to be unbelievable. I really want to figure out. You're an expert at what you do. I need you to help me. And he has the same drive and passion as we're pushing 60 that he did when he was 15 and, getting beat up in the hallways for going, hey, what's this? When you pull out a quarter. And he's an amazing talent, right? He's arguably the best illusionist who's ever lived, but he's still driven by his passion. And it's not about the money.
Yeah, see that's for me the thing that excites me, right? When you ask like what's in the next 5 years, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I know we'll still be working. And I'm a huge lover of film, and I love watching people's careers or reading about people's careers. And there's a great cinematographer who just passed away named Gordon Willis.
Oh, yeah.
He passed away
Did a
last
lot of
this
Woody
year.
Allen stuff.
Did a lot of Woody Allen stuff. Did all the Godfather stuff. Worked pretty much until the day he died, and that's not uncommon for a lot of people in the film industry, or especially cinematographers, because you just have that weird motivation that keeps you going until the day you die. And that's who I want to be. I don't want to be a person
I'm with
who
you, buddy.
necessarily retires.
I want to die and leave this rock exhausted from laughing and
yeah.
having a great time. And matter of fact, my wife's best friend's father was Conrad Hall.
Oh, no
cinematographer.
shit.
And Connie won Oscars for Butch Cassidy and Sundance
I was going to
Kid.
say everything.
I think he won one for Day of the Locust. The last one he won was for American Beauty, and that's a great example. Conrad was in his 80s when he finally passed away, but he was the last show he did, I think, was Road to Perdition, and every frame of that movie looks like a painting.
That's stunning. I mean, I feel like that's what it is too. When you choose a creative field to go into,
Yeah.
and you sort of always think, okay, like we do this show. I love this show. I think it looks great. It can always be better. You always have that sort of like, we just need, like, even this morning I was like going back and forth on the website. I'm like, it could always be better. Is it right? Is it not? No, it's always going to be an evolution, and you get addicted to that evolution.
Yeah. Totally.
And it becomes
It's a Jones.
It is a Jones, and it's never quite good enough. And I think the trick for us is okay, can we appreciate what we have right now, but always want more?
Right. Well,
sort of-
there's a great line in a Don Henley song that you take what you, you want what you have, and you take what you're given with grace. And that's a great way to live, because if you can literally say, and I do that every now and then, I'll be looking around, I'll be with my wife and my dogs or my little crib or whatever, and I'm looking around going, wow, everything I have is paid for with money that I earned doing something I do for free.
Yeah.
Don't say that too
No,
loud.
I mean, I'm a capitalist. Don't get me wrong. I'm a free market capitalist. But I'm how you need to take those moments to say, wow, I just bought dental floss, paid for with money that I earned doing something that I love to
I think
do.
we all just had that moment.
I mean, it's
Right?
crazy. Like, we're all literally just doing the things that we love to do
Right.
because people
That is such a
support
gift.
that. But
Yeah.
it's
It's really weird. Like, there's a difference. I don't know. It sounds like, I don't know if you ever had to work a quote unquote real job or a steady gig.
Oh, yeah, I did. I haven't had a steady gig. Maybe for a few months I sold cars somewhere in the mid 80s.
Okay.
But apart from that, I started making my living as a singer in rock and roll bands when I was 19. I'm going to be 59 in March. So this is my 40th year doing pretty much nothing.
being your own guy, yeah.
but making
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it is
Pretty much nothing.
doing squat.
right.
I actually forgot what my point was with that.
Did you ever have a straight job?
Oh yeah. So I
Define
mean,
straight. Sorry.
there you go. So you feel differently when you own your own business, or you are your own person. You're bringing in that money straightforward without that buffer of a company, right?
Right.
Where a company, the money almost doesn't seem real because you get it on a steady track. You know what you're going to get every month.
Yeah.
There it
Yeah.
is. Some mythical person in New York who is an accounting person makes sure that payroll gets done and it just comes into your bank and you're good to go. And that it almost doesn't feel like you're earning it. You do feel like you're doing work.
Right.
But it's different when you, quote unquote, have the skin in the game where you're like, this
Totally,
is
man.
a risk. And then every dollar suddenly matters. I took a $20 referee costume back to Big Five. It is 7 miles away. It took me forever to get over there, but I was like, this is our money.
Yeah.
This is important. And like, I'm not going to let it just hang. We had two, as you can
That's
see.
another one.
There's
That's the
right
one we
there.
use. That's the
one that goes with the yellow Dyson.
Yeah, exactly. But that was important to me. And I was on the phone with my wife at the time, and because I drive a lot and we do this a lot, and I call her all the time. That's how we stay connected. Because most of the time when I get home, it's at
Smoke signals are so difficult in the wind.
It's really hard. And I was like, she's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I got 30 minutes to kill before my buddy's birthday party. We're going to go out there. I'm like, I'm thinking about taking this referee costume back to Big Five. I know it sounds silly. It's only worth $28. She's like, it's $28.
Hey, totally, man.
She's like, let's put that in terms. If you want to get to me, you have to put it in terms of Starbucks.
Yeah.
She's like, that's 5 trips to Starbucks for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, you're right. Let's go.
Oh, no, listen.
Take it back.
Hey, man, I'm a big sports car nut, and I've spent a lot of money on cars, and that's what I really love it. I mean, I love hockey, golf.
What are you
and
driving
sports
right
cars.
now?
Right now, I have probably the best all-around car I've ever had. I have a BMW M6 Coupe, which is a sweet ride. First year I put 25,000 miles on it. I drive the shit out of it. But
that makes the traffic in LA a little bit more palatable.
It's fantastic. I've had some wonderful automobiles, but I don't have a zillion dollars where I have 12 cars or 30 cars.
Yeah.
You're not Jay
I get
Leno
to have one kick-ass car at a time, and it's a dream fulfilled. But I'm telling you, the enjoyment, and it's so exciting to be here with you guys because you have got such great things coming your way, and when you can look back and go, wow, I entertained people, I made them laugh, I made them think, and I bought my cars and my Starbucks and paid for my kids' college with money earned doing something about which I was desperately passionate. And I did it. We did it. And, little soapboxy, this country alone allows you still opportunities that, there are a lot of free countries around, Western Europe, but in terms of you can still be a pretty cool, rugged individualist here. You may not want to, you can live in a state like California, which has really, really onerous tax laws, or you can go to a place like, Nevada or Texas or whatever and take advantage of those tax laws. But the point is that you can still do what you want to do, and you are not an indentured servant of the government. You're a slave to your passion. That's great. That's so cool to be a slave to your passion, man. Yep. I love that you're doing this. And that's you guys, the guys that are going to be the Bill Gateses and the Steve Jobses, and even on the smaller scale, the Rob Paulsens, the guys who said, I came from Flint, Michigan. I don't know anybody. I don't know. That's why people talk about, the rich people and Brad Pitt didn't know anybody either.
Yeah.
God bless Brad Pitt. You're making $20 million a movie. I wish it was me.
Mizzou
and you know what?
alum, kind of.
Right?
He's credits short, but nobody.
So
He's also in Smash Bros.
I didn't know anybody when I got here, and this business and this state and this country has afforded me the opportunity to come out, try my skills, play in the big pond, and I'm making a living. I'm not a movie rock star guy, but I'm doing just fine.
You got an M6, you're doing okay.
I'm doing great, but the thing is that even at my age, or David Copperfield's, right? We're two sides of a completely different financial coin. He's David Copperfield.
Deep.
And I'm Rob Paulsen, but I can still swing for the David Copperfield fence and continue to do my gig, and it's so wonderful. And I could talk about it forever, but it's
we
really
could too.
enjoyed it.
We
you
want
guys
sure,
are.
right?
And one day we're going to take you up on that offer. We're going to come down and watch you actually.
Oh,
do
please
your
do.
job.
Yeah,
That's
if you could get you down, I think you guys would really dig a recording session. It'd be a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, but I think that's the same thing. Like to answer that woman in the car months later is with people, all the best friends who support us, and as long as there's people who want to consume our
Isn't that
content, we'll
great?
keep doing that, and that'll keep evolving, right?
Yeah, I mean, to tell a quick story. So Gavin Free, this guy over at Rooster Teeth, I'm sure
What
a
up,
lot
Gavin?
of you guys are familiar with this. To me, his story is crazy because he was a huge fan of Rooster Teeth and the show that they did, but he was from Europe, so he couldn't get over here. But so he started his own thing to get over here, and he partnered up with this guy that he knew that knew how to use slow-mo cameras.
Right.
So he started his own YouTube channel, just slow-mo guys, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And it's just it turned into this huge thing, and now he's over here. And I remember talking to him.
He figured it out.
Yeah, and he figured it out. He made it work when it wasn't going to work.
Isn't that
because
fantastic?
he had to.
Yeah.
And now I'll never forget when we first met him. He was talking to us. He's like, "Yeah, now the iPhones have slow-mo. in a couple years, what I do is
please.
not going to be unique, and it's not going to be a thing. And he's like, and now my new thing is being stupid on the internet and talking and being funny. Well, guess what? More people are going to be able to do that, and you need to keep
Hey,
adapting.
Glozell just nailed the President of the United States for an interview.
What?
Right?
That's insane.
God bless her. You know, and people, and either side of the dude, Lloyd, you know, it really corrupts the office of the president. Hey, man, I don't know that if I were the presidential advisor, I'd say you better talk to these people because they're reaching a lot of your fan base, and a lot of your constituency, right? Mm-hmm. And God bless Glozell. Yeah, she makes her living eating cereal in the tub, which I think is a little, unhealthy, but nonetheless. She figured it out, and she did it.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's so crazy to me.
That's so
and
cool.
That resonates. Like Gavin, he's like a good dude, good friend of mine,
Great
and
dude.
he's like my age for all intents and purposes. I think he's a little older, but like it's crazy to me, and it inspired me too because I feel I'm a hungry dude. I like trying to push and stuff, but like even that like made me realize like. I can never stop and be like, oh, I get this YouTube thing. Because a lot of people make jokes like, oh, Tim gets YouTube and stuff, and that's kind of my thing. But I'm like, I can't stop there.
Don't rest on your laurels.
I need
You got to
to
be
keep
adapting.
Exactly
keep adapting
right,
and keep
exactly
listening to the
right.
people younger than me because
Right.
they're gonna know what's up more than I do.
That's right, and that's the thing that folks like you have really helped me learn. Chris Hardwick has been a big help. You honestly have been great. You've been when you had me on the Up at Noon. It was I learned that sort of the power of that.
Yeah.
Overnight, I had 45,000 people who watched me have a great time on your show, and I've had so many people. You and Doug Walker, he does a thing called Nostalgia Critic, and and I've done a couple of those things, and I go so now between my podcast Up at Noon, a couple of these other YouTube things that I've done, people come up in Australia and say, mate, I saw you on Up at Noon. You were fucking great, bloody great. You do that with GameOverGreggy. and so it's like wow, and it's inspiring to me, and I'm Hardwick, like I said, Jesus, Hardwick has taken it to the nth degree.
Oh my God, yeah.
And he had me and Maurice on his podcast, and my podcast, the 2 days after we aired on his show, my podcast went to #1 on iTunes TV and film because of Chris saying, hey, you should check this out. And so now I have 50,000 downloads a month, and I used to do it once a week. Now I do it once a month because I'm traveling so much.
Sure.
But boy, have I learned a lot. And it's this brave new world. And so when people say to me, I live in Watertown, New York, but can I do what I do and not come to L.A.? I don't want to see. First of all, stop whining. Please don't do that. You have with so many opportunities and platforms now that are available to you for free.
Yeah.
And this has got an HD camera, and it's $200, and you can find a Starbucks in I could be in Malaysia, and in 30 seconds I know where a Starbucks is. I mean, so you have all this opportunity, and there are people like you're talking about. Well, it's really hard to live in Watertown, New York, and well, your friend lives in Europe or something?
Yeah, he was over in the
Okay,
UK. Yeah.
he figured it out, and now he's here.
Yeah.
That's exactly, forgive me, again, exactly what this country was built on. My grandparents all came through Ellis Island. I'm a second-generation American. My parents were born here, but my grandparents weren't. And they came, not knowing not only not how to speak the language, but not even knowing, well, I get tuberculosis on the boat going over, but you know what?
Jesus.
Screw it. I got to go.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
And because they came, I remember my mother getting tearful, going, oh, my God. I just watched you get an Emmy on TV for something you did. Can you imagine if your grandparents were able to see what happened as a result of their courage? So here's your friend says, God, I don't have a green card. And I'm like, all right, well, I can complain about it and go work at wherever, but I'm going to do this and I'm going to figure it out. So figure it out. Or don't, and live your life, but don't complain.
Yeah. And, our lives have been crazy lately, and I feel that's fairly safe to say for all of us. But IGN gave us so much, and we did so much for them, and I feel like a lot of people are like, well, of course you can do this stuff because you did IGN. And I'm not trying to like, talk shit to anybody or whatever. I just want everyone to stop and think for a second. We weren't at IGN at some point.
Yeah.
And we got to IGN.
Right. Yep.
And that's crazy. And recently, like you guys might have seen, I got to host the Daily Fix on IGN. And that was a huge moment for me. And it really made me stop and think about like my journey and getting to IGN. And it's like, it's crazy to me because now I'm like, oh, I'm me. I'm, this is who I am. And I've always been this person. But it's like, I have always been this person. I've always had this drive. But like 5 years ago, I wasn't.
Right, but it's about, people talk about, well, you're so lucky. And I used to say that, and I am. I'm blessed, lucky, whatever.
Exactly.
But I really prefer to think now as I get older that I'm fortunate because I I'm really fortunate that I had great parents, I had great siblings, all of that stuff. But, you know, when people say to me, you know, you guys are really lucky. Well, okay, but if we're going to really get into the discussion about it, let's really sort of break down what luck is. It really is when preparedness meets opportunity. And you have these epiphanal moments in your life that will come along, and either you're ready to knock it out of the park or you're not.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that even though you knock it out of the park, you're going to continue to forever, because it isn't fair, whatever that means. But all you can ask for, as far as I'm concerned, is the opportunity. And bust your ass to be ready. And I'm like you. I didn't know anybody. I came from Flint, right? But it was like, well, I'm not going to do it here. And I got to go do my thing and figure it out. Got to try and keep. And then at least if you decide and my brother's a great example of that. My brother is now in the financial industry in New York, and he was an actor for years, and he'd had enough. He said, you know what? I was there and I did that. I'm ready to just sort of do what I went back to school, get to NYU, blah, blah, blah. Now he's making a lot of money in the financial district and he's doing great. But he did it. He was like, I feel good about that. He wasn't one of those guys who at 50 goes, I hate my life because I never tried to do what I really want to do. You know, and not everybody's going to get that chance, and we know that. I understand that. Please don't get me wrong. I don't mean to say that everybody's going to get the same opportunity. I know it's not. We don't have the same talent. We don't have the same gifts. I totally get that. But as far as I'm concerned, there are like 3 levels of passion. You know, if you're lucky, you find something about which you're passionate, right? This. If you're luckier, you find that you are good at that which you are passionate about. That's pretty cool. Like, even if it's bowling or flower arranging or working on cars, I can't wait to get off work because I'm going to get to work on my car. I'm so passionate about that. And I'm good at it. I rebuilt this car. But then if you find something about which you're passionate, you're good at it, and you make money at it, you've won the lottery of life, my friend. And I don't care how much the money is. I'm not talking about Oprah money. I'm talking about, wow, I'm paying my bills. I live in a nice apartment in the city. I'm feeding my dog and I'm doing my thing. And I own my own flower shop. I could be. What a great life! That's what passion does.
Yep.
You know? And I'm grateful that you allowed me to express it.
No, thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I think it's been something Tim said is interesting to me in the sense that we all got into IGN some way and got into this industry somehow. And the one thing I always encourage people to do is that when I just turned 18, I'm 30 now. When I just turned 18 and someone opened a door for me just a little bit, I fucking busted that door down.
Busted it down, right.
You know, like that door was never getting closed again.
Right.
And I busted it to the point where I was an intern at IGN, and then when I graduated at Northeastern, they offered me a job. I didn't even apply for it.
Yeah.
You know, and so like it was a matter of like that 5 years difference of just working.
Yeah.
And getting it done got me to that point. So it was hard work, but also I always say this. Take the opportunities that are given to you. I was not and am not the best writer. I think I'm good, but I'm not the best writer in the world. And I'm certainly, not the most talented individual on camera or whatever, but like you use what you have to try to get where you are. And what I love about this particularly, what we're doing is, I'll be very candid, and I've said this before, like my happiness at IGN was waning significantly, and I didn't want to do that anymore, and like, but a lot of people think that we're crazy for jumping out of there, but I think we were crazy not to jump out of there because we now have the people out there, a much smaller group. I've said it many times. Greg's probably tired of hearing it specifically. Is that we exchanged reach for intimacy.
Yeah.
We exchanged reach for intimacy. That was the idea. We are not going to reach the millions and millions and millions and tens of millions of people that IGN reached anymore. But we don't want to do that. We want to have an intimate relationship with a smaller group of people that support what we do and want to be there every day of the week. And it doesn't mean that we won't grow and we won't expand. It's to say like these 4,000 or 5,000 people that are supporting us on Patreon right now. Those are our people, and we want to make them happy, and that makes me happy. I'll tell you, the last month I've been much happier than I've been in
Isn't
years.
That great?
Because I really came to the conclusion, the hard conclusion, like that I had a dream job that everyone wanted. I was senior editor at the biggest gaming website in the world. There's one senior editor at that website.
It's a big deal, man.
And like, but I had to come to the conclusion, like I don't really want to do this anymore.
Right.
It's not your dream anymore.
What did you say?
It's not your dream anymore.
Exactly, and it's someone else's dream. So let's get someone else in there. And I'm gonna be with my boys that we built this thing on our own and we own it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do it with our people out there.
Right.
And we're gonna rise or fall based on how they feel about what we're doing, which is why they're so important to me.
Yeah.
And these past 3-4 weeks, fucking forget about it,
Yeah.
dude. Like I feel like a weight has been lifted off
Isn't
my
that
shoulders.
great?
It's
Good
really
for you,
insane.
man.
Yeah.
Well, that's
We're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and that's why I started doing these live things. I didn't want to be beholden to people just calling me or saying we got 2 lines of a talking chicken. Would you read for this? And it's like, well, it's not that I want to do the gig, but because I'm not a famous guy. There's not a point so far where I can just say, I won't work. I'll work when you give it to me. That's not going to happen unless I become, do on-camera stuff. And I may do more on-camera stuff. So I love doing my own gig because I love meeting all of the people out there and that telling me the stories. And these people have buttered my bread for 30 freaking years. And I totally get that. And I want to go out and meet them. So now that I own these shows that I'm doing, I mean, I don't own the music because it's owned by Warner Brothers, but we got permission from Mr. Spielberg and Warner Brothers, and we are doing our thing and having a good time and doing these personal appearances and anything I can do to further that. It's something that I have control over. I'm not waiting for the phone to ring and having somebody say, they're not sure if they want to use you. If you read for this, maybe. Okay, great, I get that. If you want to use me, fine. If you don't, fine. I got my juice over here now. I got all my skin in this game now. And I want to do it until I literally can't do it anymore.
Right.
So you're preaching to the choir, kids.
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting point because what you're really talking about in my mind is almost a lack of risk aversion, which is like, I'm out of the four of us the most risk averse, I think, and it took me a while to convince, and Tim too, in a sense, like took us a while to kind of come around to the sense that we were going to do this, we were going to jump. When I realized what you're saying is really resonating with me, just in the sense that, I didn't want to stay somewhere because people thought I was crazy for leaving.
Right.
Yeah. And that was like really like the last year.
That's giving
or so.
them your power.
Exactly. Like the last year or so, it was like that was how I felt in my heart.
Right.
I was like, I can't. Like people are gonna think I'm nuts. Like I got here and I've climbed here and I'm established. I could stay here forever.
Right.
Like the four of us, we could stay there forever.
Yeah.
Right.
But we just.
Well, then you coined the phrase which you've used here, which is "fuck that."
We should put that on a shirt.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's not. I read a great article. I
Yahoo
wish I could
Answers.
remember his name. It's a great article about, the fine art of not giving a fuck, and it's like his whole premise is we have only so many fucks to give.
Oh yeah, I'm
Right,
familiar.
right, and you kind of go, I don't give. It doesn't mean I don't want you to do your best, and I don't want the best for you, but I hear what you're saying. Thank you for caring about me, but I don't give a fuck. And I hope you understand and accept that in the spirit in which I'm delivering that comment. It's not, a hateful comment. It's like, this is my life. Sorry, excuse me, but I don't give a fuck. And now, and like you said it beautifully. You feel this weight off your shoulder, and it's a good feeling.
It is.
And you can't put a dollar figure on that.
You can. I mean, that's what that's why I'm trying to explain to people is that, we could have stayed there and had some financial security and been going about our business and stuff. We owe everything to IGN. We owe a great deal to them, and we wish them the greatest success.
Totally, of
And we
course.
wanted to leave them in the best possible way, which is why we gave them 3 months notice instead of 2 weeks notice. To make sure that they were in good shape, and they're in good shape. They're going to continue and succeed without us. They don't need us. Like so that's fine. That's that's its own weight lifted off my shoulders. But just the sense of, whether Kind of Funny succeeds or fails, like I have no regrets.
Yeah.
And like I already feel that way, and it's just like
Good for
I
you.
stand a little taller, like I feel
Yeah.
a little better. I'm sleeping better. Like
Right.
it's so weird how like that one decision that seemed so antithetical at the time, like was the decision that had to be made.
That's going to be one of those epiphanal moments that you look back in your life and go, holy shit, am I ever glad that we did that when we did it? And sometimes you're in the middle of it and you don't know, but then you look back and go, oh my God, if I went left when I had the opportunity to go right, whew, and that's not meant as a political metaphor. But if oh my God, I'm so glad we did that.
Yeah.
And you will have those as you get older. You'll go, wow, this was a really good move. Mm-hmm.
We already know it is because of you, best friends. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, you can support us over at patreon.com/kindoffunny. If you don't have any money to give us, it's no big deal. You can go to youtube.com/kindoffunny. Get each topic broken out day by day until we post the whole thing for free on Friday on iTunes as well. Rob Paulsen,
Hey, man.
thank you so much for coming
My
through.
pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, laughter is the best medicine, and the cool thing is you can't OD and the refills are free. So there you go.
Talking Tunes. Go subscribe right now, whatever podcast service you use. Watch for robpaulsenlive.com. Go there, find
Thank
out
you.
when Animaniacs is coming somewhere. near around.
Enema Maniacs.
Enema Maniacs.
That's a really
Enema
different-
Maniacs.
wow. Yeah,
That's
thank
a
you.
different show, but
Yeah.
you hit the high notes easier. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Thanks, guys.
Before we end, I do need to say
I
thank
just-
you.
I just-
Oh.
I know, but I'm unending this. Thank you so much for everything, because honestly, like I said earlier, you were the
My
voice
pleasure.
of my childhood, of our childhood, multiple childhoods, and childhood
Thanks, buddy.
now for this new generation. And in addition to that, just the pop culture relevance of everything, and a lot of what we do. This show, the Game Over Greggy show,
Right.
the amount of times we've talked about G.I. Joe or Transformers or Land Before Time.
Oh, I'm Spike.
Which
I was Spike.
You were Spike?
Yeah. And all the
I was going for Chomper.
And I think no, I wasn't Chomper. I was Spike in all the Land Before Time video movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. But we've talked about these things, and all of those movies and shows
thanks,
and all
buddy.
this, like that, the memories we have from those shows
Thank you.
are what drives us to do what we do.
Well,
So
and
thank
that you
so
could not, you could have given me no greater compliment, which is precisely why I say I really want people, please follow your passion, whatever it is, because one day you will have this experience, and it will be so profound in your life that you know that you fixed somebody's car that they thought they could never afford, but you freaking fixed it, or you made an impact in somebody's life, whether it's on a macro or a micro scale. You need to have that experience. So follow your passion and share it with people.
I think the most exciting thing is that your passion then fueled our passion.
Great.
And I'm hoping our passion fuels other
It will.
people's passion.
It will.
Yeah.
It will. And thank you, man. You guys have just been absolutely delightful. Appreciate it.
We love you, Rob.
Thank you. Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, so
Thank
much
you.
fun.
Common
Sounds like
distance
sex
away.
talk. This is how
This
you
how you
want
want
it.
it?
You want it up,
Up
here,
here,
or down
down
there?
low.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Sex talk with Greg Miller.
Coming soon to Kind of Funny Vids.